morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Good to see everybody this morning. We're gonna go ahead and get started and try to move as quickly as we can, but yet we're gonna try to have enough time to do all we need to do. Before we go any further, I'm gonna ask Supervisor Montgomery, if you don't mind, open us up with prayer.
Certainly, I will. If you will, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, it's once again we come to do the county's business. Dear Lord, be with each member here today that we can do this county's business pleasing to His way, dear Lord. Thank you, dear Lord, for this past Easter season and what that means. That your Son did come and die on the cross, and of course He did rise again for each and every one here today and outside this building as well. Thank you, dear Lord, for this upcoming Mother's Day, for the mothers that are here and the mothers that have gone on and the impressions that they have made. Thank you for the soldiers that not only serve here in Mississippi and the disasters that we've seen here from these recent storms, but the ones that serve abroad and keep America safe, the doorway to freedom open. All these blessings and more, dear Lord, that we do pray and thank you for this beautiful weather and this home that we do enjoy in Oktibbeha County. It's in these and many more blessings that we are thankful. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Supervisor. Okay, what we'll do, before we begin, I know Supervisor Miller indicated to us that she may need to leave early. Do we need to adjust the agenda on anything that we need to deal with?
The county can do some of the county business. I'd like to address the bid openings, and then, but we have to approve the minutes first, and we can adjust, I guess.
Well, seeing that, we got our April board order just in our package. What's the board pleasure on the board order?
On the, and I don't know, you can tell us if on the first meeting, number 8.
So that came before the board, the bid for the real package?
Yeah, but we're not specifying equipment in the last year. Do we need to adjust that in any way, Rob?
We're probably gonna have to,
It's been purchased.
It's there. It's been purchased.
yeah, I think that since it's already been done, we can, as long as we can go ahead and get it done before the next.
Yeah, because it's just next month, it's just the last 6 months.
We're already using it.
Last 12 months.
We're using it.
Any contract for late purchase. We violated that. I don't think there's stipulations that outright.
The contract though is, I did some research on this last week, and the deal is, it's a voidable contract, not a void contract. So what will end up happening is the next board that comes, whether it's y'all or whomever, could accept what we've done, but I hate to say it like this, but the issue is on the bidder, right, the vendor, not on us.
Can you make that adjustment in next month's meetings, just that we discuss that and
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
researched it and what the outcome is, please?
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot hold another board,
Yes, sir.
incoming board, you can't enter a contract that's gonna hold an incoming board.
That's correct, and something to keep in mind whenever we're doing this, there's actually a couple of contracts that were done like 5 years ago, like with Madeira, and the reason I even dealt with this is we were having some issues with Madeira. Those rules end up being honestly more harmful to the person that's contracting with us. That all being said, it's things that we need to be aware of, and whenever our next board is elected and all that kind of stuff, we probably need to they ask us to, because to be honest with you, it really doesn't harm us at all. Having a voidable contract doesn't hurt us. Having a void contract would, but a voidable contract is not something that's gonna necessarily hurt us in this procedure. But it's actually something that we need to be aware of whenever we're picking this stuff up. So yes, ma'am, I will take care of what you need to take care of.
On the first page, item number 3, pertaining to the recording of the board minutes. The way this reads, it reads that we will automatically go to live streaming, which is not, so
Yes, sir.
we voted to have a 3-month trial period, and at the end of that trial period, the board will revisit and decide whether we were gonna go live.
So we can amend it with the
Right.
trial period? Yes, sir.
It wasn't to automatically go live, but it was a 3-month trial period, and then we'll
Yes, sir.
revisit.
But you are saying it's 3-month trial period before we put it on our website.
Oh, yeah, we can continue, we've got a 3-month trial period to record and put on the website, but to go live streaming, we were gonna revisit it at the end of 3 months.
In other words, it's, we're not saying that it's permanent at this point. We're saying it's a 3-month trial until we do.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Correct.
We'll get that fixed.
Any more considerations? If not, can we get a motion second to approve our minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Drummond. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the opposing vote. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, we're going to, go into our citizen comment period. If we have any citizens that are here and would like to approach the board, you may come forward at this time. I know I've been already contacted by Mr. Eccles and Mr. Dawkins. If you all don't mind, come on forward this morning, and you all can present your report to the board.
Good morning.
Mr. Dawkins, I didn't even recognize you. Good morning.
Come on around.
Tell you what,
We can get both of your chair.
I can stand up.
Okay, okay.
Well, seeing you all know these gentlemen, they have a simple request. There was a culvert that was put in many years ago by the county on a portion of road that's in Bel Air subdivision that was maintained by the county. Has come now time for us to replace that culvert. And that culvert is right at the edge of the right of way that's county maintained. And the county put that culvert in, I guess.
53 or 4 years ago.
Right. And we've been keeping it patched, filling it in, but that culvert needs to be replaced. And so my request to the board is asking the board to help us to spread on the minutes of the replacing of that culvert for Mr. Eccles and Mr.
What's the intersection, just so we can put it on the minutes?
Now, where the culvert, the road is Beazer Lane. Beazer Lane is listed as a 911 road, but the 911 portion does not pick up until beyond the culvert. And the reason why the sign is there, so if you drive through that neighborhood, you can see the sign and find Beazer Road. If you put the sign back, you won't see it. And so therefore, we didn't want anybody to have an emergency and they couldn't see the sign. So if you were to go out there, you would see a Beazer Road sign, which is 911. But actually, Beazer Road does not begin until beyond the culvert.
So it's on the county right.
It's on the county right away.
Is this a culvert or crossing the property?
It's crossing. So my suggestion is to authorize the replacement of that cross track.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we approve the request. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the public vote.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank y'all gentlemen for coming.
I'd like to say one more thing. I don't know when you get around to replacing that culvert, but it's so rough right now, we can't hardly get across it.
We'll get that done
Could we
today.
get some gravel or something put over it to
We'll
patch
get
it, fill in?
We'll get that done today.
Good deal. I appreciate all
We
of y'all.
appreciate you all, appreciate y'all's service too. for the
Appreciate
county.
it.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you,
Y'all
Mr.
take care.
This is I'm making sure I got this right. Beazer Road and what?
No, on the county maintained portion of BEEZER road. It intersects, Morningside. Morningside. Sunset.
Okay.
Are there any more citizens that would like to approach the board? Good morning. Yes, sir. Thomas.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just regular Thomas Senior to the board I member. Last month on March the 18th, President Jackie Ellis came up and addressed the board concerning the East Oktibbeha former BMO High School concerning a request that asking for the board for the supervisor to help clear the areas. Right now, the school district have cut the grass around campus. It looks nice out front, but on the back side, it's growing up extremely. We had opportunity to go out and walk around the area last week, say again, it looked real bad out there growing up, and he would cut close up, but this, we do have access to go down there when he let us weed eat. We had to weed eat him. And last year we had a marvelous time out front there. Had a lot of people came out. It was around 200 or 300 people out there. Had a June tea out there, and we planted again. We got requests in now for it again for the this month, well next month on the 22nd of next month. We got to get it approved, and we're going to have it looking nice again. Also, we have several trees that pine trees that decayed and fell down right. Also, we asked the board to get those out to move, cut them and get them out. And once it's down, the county, the school board personnel say they would maintain it. We can help, but we need assistance to get it off because it's growing up bad. Even the football field, you got pine trees growing out there, they coming up, and they need to get it down. The baseball field, all out there, it's growing up real bad. It's not gonna, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I know it's been wet and cold, but it's going to be dry pretty soon. If we can get some assistance out there, get it down, and we have personnel. Once we get it, we can keep the guard looking nice because right now you drive by, it do look nice. It look nice. It looks nice out there, and that's a positive to the community out there. We still, actually request that. I know it takes time on all this. We still want to get that to our community center. We got a lot of things that happen in our community. And we still asking, I know it takes time here again, but we still, as the president saying, we just want to do it in order. That's our request. Anyone have a question for me?
You gotten up with anybody from the school board? You remember when we had that meeting that it came up that is still school property?
Yes.
They have bush hogs, they have personnel. And legally, we can't even get on that property with our men, liability wise. And if you recall, the school board said they may even get up with us on what we could do legally.
Yeah, because we did have a commitment to get in touch with the school board and get a ruling on that in terms of what we can do to help.
We're actually meeting with Dr. Prasad sometime this week for lunch, and we'll discuss some of this with him. But from the county's perspective, and keep this in mind, it's not that I can tell you right now that this board definitely wants to try to help this community, but from a legal standpoint, we can't go into our property because we don't own it. And now what we can do is stuff that's brought out to the edge on the easements and stuff, whenever we get to picking up stuff and all that kind of thing, we can pick up stuff, but we can't go onto the property and do any work until there's been some kind of transitional issue with whether or not we've taken over the lease for 16 section or anything like that. But we are meeting with Dr. Prasad this week and going to discuss some of these things with him. I know that community out there is really wanting this to be something that they can continue to keep up and use, and we'll discuss some of that and see what other options we may could come up with to make that a little bit more expedient. But at this point, there's just not any legal way we can go into that property and tackle some of these issues until we get some kind of formal understanding as to who is either leasing that property. We actually looked into purchasing it at some point. We realized that it is 16 section land, and there would have to be some kind of lease provision that we would have to do. But we certainly understand where you're coming from, and that's actually something that we're going to discuss with Dr. Masant this week as well.
Thank you for your time and information, and I'll pass it on to our president out there. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to approach the board and citizen comment period? If not, then we'll move right along. Assessment change and homestead division. Good morning. Good morning.
Assessment changes and homestead deductions.
All right, you have the question, the packet, and comments or questions in regards to the request.
Make a motion for approval.
If not, we have a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the public voting sign. Motion passed unanimously. Anything else? All right, so we'll move right along, I don't think Mr. Pritchard has made it in yet. I was informed that Ms. Robin is not here. We'll move right along to Ms. Nicholson and Ms. Swain, Community Council.
This is actually another half month, and we're going to continue to give you all our appreciation of the services that you provide us. Last year is right around $50,000, and it was made because we have a quality program. And as you all are out in the community, you know individuals and families in need of any kind of mental health services, please feel free to call Ms. Nicholson, our administrator, and she will help them with some of these particular things. Mental illness is known by many to some of our behavior, and many of us may be mentally ill and not shown for our behavior. And you will all at some time will need a mental health service for our families and individuals in our community. Ms. Jefferson is going to present the annual report to you, and then later on, Ms. Lord will be presenting the community-based program we have now for individuals living out in the community. Changes are taking place at mental health. Sometimes they're slowly and sometimes they're very quickly. One of the slow programs has been the development of residential programs to enable individuals to leave out of our institutions and enable individuals not to have to go into these institutions. This is a program that's not well known in the community, but it's a program that is serving individuals in many ways and helping our communities and our communities strong in terms of the quality of life that we give to individuals. So we appreciate the quality of life that you all provide for individuals and families in our communities. Later on, President Trainer, with your permission, we'd like to have you sign a proclamation, and if the paper will take that, or the newspaper. So thank you for the opportunity that you always provide for us, and Ms. Nicholson will speak, and then Laura will give her program. And we thank y'all deeply for what you do for us.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
I'm
morning.
Nikki Nicholson. What I have handed out is going to be our 2018 impact statement for the economic growth in the community. That's what the top sheet is. The second sheet is going to be just about Oktibbeha County. Going to focus on what our services are, how many individuals we serve, and how many individuals we employ. The next thing I want to pass out to y'all, I know, we get lots of questions about what services we offer, so I have included multiple just information sheets. You don't have to read them, but just to have and be able to look back to see what services we provide, along with some goodies today as well. As Ms. Margot said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so with that being said, as a community, we want to make sure that everyone is involved in celebrating and recognizing mental health and trying to get rid of the stigma that is associated with mental health. And as Ms. Margot said, Mr. Trainer, Ms. Jackie has put together a proclamation just declaiming Mental Health Awareness Month being May in the county of Oktibbeha. So if you would be willing to sign this, and I just want to pass that around. Do any of y'all have any questions about any of the information or any of the services or just anything in general about community counseling and mental health? Can we get y'all to take a picture of him signing the proclamation?
I'm gonna let her get behind it. Shame on me.
Can y'all talk a little bit more about inpatient treatment?
Sure, like for
Mental.
okay, Nick, you want
What was the
to
question?
address
I'm sorry.
inpatient?
A little bit more about inpatient treatment.
Like-
I see the outpatient service that you have and therapy.
Yes, we now have a crisis stabilization unit that is in West Point. It has 8 beds and it has another 4 safe beds that we can use. We have 4 male beds, 4 female beds, and the way that we do any kind of admissions there is we get with the director, Mr. David Johnson, or we contact Veronica, who is our insert coordinator. So if y'all
That's
have
the
any.
mobile crisis.
So at the same time, if it's really easy, you just give me a call. I can make sure it all gets taken care of. I worked with Miss Terry on getting somebody in a couple of days ago, so it's a lot easier when it's in-house as opposed to being, like in Meridian or Baptist or somewhere like that. So it makes it a lot easier.
What's your goal for a treatment plan? You want to try to exit them, and
Well,
I know you can't say exactly when, but
right.
what
You
the
know-
trend, how's the trend going in terms of how long they're staying in?
Oh, an inpatient,
treatment? Yeah.
most of the time we tell them a max is 10 days. And they end up most of the time getting released before then, but we say that just to make sure that we have everything taken care of that we need to when they're in inpatient. I have been over there a couple of times. They have done a whole lot to that building to make sure that it was safe and secure, and put in some extra security measures just for people who, could be a danger to themselves or somewhere else. So they really want to make sure that they get in there, they get stabilized in inpatient, and then get referred back to us for outpatient, so the cycle kind of stops a little bit of going back and forth into that inpatient setting.
And
Thank you.
you were talking about inpatient, but one of the things that I had told y'all I was kind of moving to a different position to do was take individuals out of the institutions to hopefully put them in the community, those with developmental disabilities. So currently I've got 22 of those individuals living out in the community. I have 2 homes here, I have 3 in West Point, and I have 2 in Columbus. It's their choice as to where they live. And so I have staff that are there with them around the clock. They get to go and do things. We can help them maintain their of course, their mental health, but also their health, and do things out in the community that they want to do. I had said I was going to develop more things for the community as far as that goes. Currently, we have supported living. That's something new that I've just started doing, and that's to support individuals that have intellectual developmental disabilities that are approved through the state to have the service done in their home. So if you have somebody in your home, briefly, that had developmental disabilities, we could go in and work with them up to 4 hours a day to help them meet their needs, to stay in the community, and to take that pressure off the families that are having to tend to them. I've also started doing in-home respite, and that's not the medical piece to it or the nursing, but that's a shorter term of going in and actually working with them on whatever the hopes and dreams and those type things. I'm also developed where we're doing linking and referring. I've worked out a pretty good system with Social Security to help these individuals once they get out of the institution, get them on their disability that they've not been able to get on because they've been the state's responsibility. And that way they can actually have their own little income and be able to pay their own bills and be taxpayers within the community and being able to go and do things. So, like I said, currently I think I've got 22, and I've got one more this week I think will be coming out shortly, but I had the last one came out this last Thursday. So, very time consuming, and y'all know working with the state government and Medicaid and state hospitals on getting these individuals out, it takes somebody to coordinate and kind of work the process. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. Now, she mentioned safe beds. We have 2 I've been really working a lot with the state on something called SPOT Team, and it's for individuals that are in crisis that need somewhere to go. We've had several within our community, either a family member have died or they've been said that nobody's there to take care of them anymore. So I've been able to get them referred through there, get them evaluated through the state, and then get them put back into our community. So those safe beds are what we're using for that. I think we've got 2 there now, and one is coming to my programs out at Collier Road. I think I've got 90-something people coming out there now. So instead of the maybe 20-something I had in the get-go. So anyway, we're growing with and bringing those individuals from Clay County. I'm bringing them from Knoxville. I'm still bringing them. I'm also bringing them from Columbus. Getting ready to bring some in from the Macon area to come into that program. So, any questions? Just talk a little bit about the
the citizens that work. I know that people that get to see them cash their checks, how excited, and, you know, the opportunities that they get,
Right.
just getting them back in the community and.
We have two different types of that, briefly. One goes under, Nikki,
Supported
which is the
employment.
SMI, supported employment, okay? But hers, you know, that, when you go in somewhere, you don't really pay more attention to them than you do any other employee. But with mine, I have a person there that is a support person, that is able to realize a trigger for that individual and try to keep them able to do, work on the job. I've currently got jobs at, here in Starkville at, what do you call that, Chick-fil-A? Yeah, Chick-fil-A, Sonic, I've got, several others, and I've got a couple of more coming down the turnpike. But it's what we teach them out at skills and working with them on good work habits and those type things. And then having a staff person there that is a good support for that individual. And then they love being able to go and cash whatever little bit of money they get and go out and spend the money. One of the things is, like I said, freedom, is their choice. And choice means that we give them the information that, you know, for every $2 you make, you gotta pay back $1 to Social Security, which is fine. You know, if families agree to that, that's fine. So, that's what we've been doing, been able to, through this process, I found where Social Security had been taking $117 out of an individual's check since 2004. So I met with his family, and he wants a new, place to live, a trailer on his property, and the one he's living in is horrible. So, condition, so, they're gonna be able to take that money and actually, go, and so that's kinda helped me to, dig in a little more with the Social Security and the things going on, but, anyway, they love working out in the community. Airmark's a good person, a good company that works with us. The Breakfast Club has said that they want somebody. I've got somebody I want them to go meet. I've got one that he's interested in landscape. So, you know, it's pretty much so what they say they wanna do, and then we teach them those things that they would have to do on the job, and then I have the support staff that goes with them, carries them to work, and brings them back, and that type of thing. Does that answer?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've seen them cash their check, I know, I'm excited.
Right, they do, they get real excited.
And kind of just with what Lori said, probably the two areas that have grown the most, I think when I was here last time, we were just now letting you know that we had the grant approved for the crisis unit, and it opened in February, so we've been able to serve individuals there. And then the second area I think has grown has been Lori's program. When I first started, like you said, you had the two houses that were here in Starkville, and we were just
Right.
looking to have apartments and other houses in the area, and now she has 22, 23 residents. So we're slowly growing, but definitely trying to get, you know, more individuals out into the community and out of the institutions.
And I know the two homes we have are ones that we have purchased. But I'm also looking, I've got some that are interested in leasing out in the community, maybe in a, apartment type setting or townhome type setting. So, I'm helping them look into those possibilities and what we can do to assist with that, so. Anybody got anybody that you want, you got me to see about, put my cards in your bag. So,
Thank you for
Thank you.
always returning my phone calls and trying to reach out, I appreciate that.
Do y'all have any other questions?
Well, ma'am, we certainly appreciate y'all.
And we appreciate
Well,
y'all and all
appreciate
that's
y'all,
it.
and everything you do.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
You'll help us.
Take care.
If y'all don't mind, let's do an order, acknowledge the proclamation of mental health month. So, a motion by Supervisor McDermott, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the vote of the same. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you all. All right, moving right along. Blackjack Road, Ms. Young. Good morning.
Morning.
And Ms. Kate, good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here once again checking on the updates and the status of the Blackjack Road from Bardwell Road west to the Sprint Mart. It was told in the April 1st meeting that I was actually absent in and Ms. Tate, filled in, that the repairs would begin before the year is out. And a week or so later, it was on the news that, where Mr. Trainer stated that it would be at least a couple of years before road repairs would begin. And also, I would like to address that when vehicles are damaged, especially tires, and I'm referring specifically to my son-in-law's case, that he needed to report the hose prior to have fallen into the hose and damaging his tire and rim. And where he had actually had the damage, it was below the Mayfield sign on Blackjack Road, the Mississippi Agricultural Forestry Experiment Station. He had fallen into a hole there, and he had taken pictures. He had got his estimate, and he turned everything in that he was supposed to turn in. But he said he was told by Mr. Trainer that he could not be paid for the repairs, and we don't know really why. And everything should be in the file about the repairs. It's very hard to report specific holes on Blackjack Road because we have holes all over the road. And it's really dangerous. And we also have cones that's placed on the roads, which make it a lot of times worse because you're dodging cones, you're dodging holes, and it's very dangerous, very dangerous. Some of the holes I'm pretty familiar with, so I pretty much know where those holes are. But sometimes it's new developed holes that I don't know about, and I actually fall into them myself. So I know other people are falling into them also. And when you're trying to dodge holes and watch vehicles, you could possibly, be rear-ended while you're traveling up and down the roads. I'm sure everyone here is probably aware of the condition of the Blackjack Road. And if you have not had the pleasure of traveling it, I'm sure you have heard the many complaints that occur daily. If you have not had the pleasure of traveling Blackjack Road, please do so and experience what we experience every single day. By the time you get from Barwell Road to Sprint Mart, you are actually exhausted from ducking, dodging, and avoiding holes while cars are traveling down Blackjack Road. There was a case where a tow service came to pick up Mrs. Tate's vehicle, and if you would allow her to give a report on what the tow service had to say about Blackjack Road, I would appreciate it.
Okay. The first thing that I want to say is the name of the tow service is Champion out of Starkville. And I start off by saying that first because they told me that they wanted me to give their name. They came to pick up my vehicle. The man wanted to know, was it another way out of Starkville, out of Blackjack, that he could get another way that he can get out of Blackjack besides using the Blackjack Road from that Supervet all the way down to Barwell Road. He said it is too dangerous for him to have to pull cars or do whatever he has to do his job to come back up that road. He told me also, he asked me, did I know what it was doing to my vehicle? I said, yes, I know. He said, well, are you aware that it is tearing up your tires? It also messes up your tires. He said, are you aware of that? I said, yes. I mean, I didn't separate one from the other. I said, but I'm aware of it tearing up my vehicle. He said, are the people that's, evidently, he has been reading the information in the paper, what's going on, or listening to it on the news. Because he said, I know you all have meetings about that. I said, we do. He said, well, do you think they will listen to me or to us? He said, because this is not my first trip down here. He said, I just pulled the vehicle out of a hole where this young man tore his whole tire up, he said. And he said it was at night, and you cannot see how this road is at night. And he said, are they aware of it? I said, well, we have made them aware of it. He said, well, they need you traveling too. And bottom line, the last question was, is it another way out of here? So I wanted to take your car back up that way.
Attorney Roberts, can you give us an update on what Jack Road is doing?
Just so y'all are aware, this has been a process that's probably been going on for about 2 years to get that road fixed. The issue is not that this board has not done what it needed to do to get done. You've got neighbors out there that would not sign easements, to be able to get the work accomplished. So I don't want you to think that this board hasn't been very active in trying to get it fixed. This is something that's been going on for, at minimum, the last 10 or 15 years that needed to have been accomplished. This board has already moved forward with, I mean, we've got the money available. Matter of fact, Mr. Pritchard was gonna be here today to let us know what progress he's made as far as the engineering services. But I personally was involved in getting easements done over the last year. You've got about 3 or 4, 3 of them are apartment complexes, and one is a gentleman that just owns some property over there that will not sign an easement at this point. So we're having to go through a legal process to do what's called a quick take. Now, quick take sounds like it's gonna be real fast for, well, on the front end, the name of it, but anything whenever you're dealing with, taking people to court never looks quick to somebody on the outside looking in. So I want you to be aware that this board has done everything it can at this point to get something moving. It's just a matter of getting these easements dealt with and making certain that we're able to move forward and get that road, because it's gonna be widened, it's gonna be, some of the areas that are too tall are gonna be cut down so that it's a safer drive. I know you're frustrated, goodness knows I completely understand your frustration, but a lot of what's going on right now is due to people that own property over there that have not been willing to have signed the easements. And it could have been done, honestly, some of this could have already been started, I would think, but some of this has been dragging on for 6 months. Now, 3 apartment complexes are over there that are putting, and to be honest with you, I don't think that they're against necessarily giving us the property over, it's just it's a corporation, it's just dealing with that. And one is a gentleman that lives in Tupelo that just owns property there that we've had to deal with. So I don't want you to be unaware that they, I want y'all to know that they're aware of the problems out there. It's just a matter of getting those things done so that we can go ahead and move forward. I know it's frustrating.
I mean, when you say they are aware, who's aware? The apartment complex?
No, this board is very
Oh.
much aware. They have, I mean, this has been probably #1 priority in terms of getting something fixed as far as easements are concerned over there. And it's just taking time to I mean, they wanna agree to sign them, you have to take them to court to do it.
So it possibly could be a couple more years?
I don't think it's gonna be a couple more years.
Before it's complete,
I say begin.
Well, that would have been my statement. If I said that, I can go back and look at it, but if I said 2 years, I meant it would take 2 years to complete the project.
Okay. So in the meantime, what do we do about all these potholes?
Oh,
What we're doing is every time we get a call, we respond. We probably have spent, I don't know, Mr. Bag, I don't know if you can keep it up with it, we spent an untold amount of man hours out there responding, putting tar down, and actually we're kind of throwing good money after bad, because we know that's not going to fix the problem.
Right.
It will put a Band-Aid, it's not gonna fix the problem. But at this point, that's all we can do from that standpoint. We could close the road off. We could close it off. And that's gonna create a major inconvenience for a lot of people.
Because people not gonna, I mean, how would you close the road off?
Just close it completely.
Okay.
I mean, you can do that, I mean, we can close it completely. We can come in there and grind the whole road down and make it a gravel road, and keep it bladed with the motor grader.
I mean, closing it, I mean, it wouldn't affect me, but it would affect a lot of other people.
And so that's where we are right now. So we're just trying to get through this legal part. We got the money. The money's been in place for how long?
Over a year.
We got the money. We're ready to go to work.
Just don't have the right to.
We've done everything that we can possibly do. And as far as people having issues, a lot of those issues are, we'll go out, we'll patch it, and then weather events, we can't control the weather.
And I understand that.
And so, and then of course, if we were to pay a claim on one person, then, then of course, that there will be a domino effect, and we will have to set a precedent. And this county will have enough money to pay everybody who would come with a claim for Black Jack Road. So that's
But
why.
there have been some claims paid.
Well, they might have been paid by the insurance, that's a whole different dynamic.
I
all claims are submitted to the insurance, and the insurance makes that road, Oktibbeha County does not pay pothole funds.
Just an observation. There are some work that's being done around Stone Boulevard, on that Blackjack Road project, and I'm under the impression that those are the same dollars. I might be wrong in my interpretation, but they are similar dollars anyway.
Well, that's the
And
money.
coming from, let me continue, they are similar dollars and coming from similar resources. And that has been my suggestion in the past, that we not necessarily have to wait until those individuals give easement, but we can do something with those individuals who have already given easement. Because if we can use dollars to do that covet around Stone Boulevard, in my opinion, same dollars, there ain't much difference in it. I know you're gonna say it isn't, but there ain't much difference in those dollars. But those dollars can be approved. And we can approve dollars to work on around Stone Boulevard, do that covet. We can work around too, working on Blackjack Road, those areas and those people who have already given easement. And that has been my suggestion in the past, and I know it wasn't well taken. It wasn't well taken, but I still think we can do it. I still think we can work on Blackjack Road without getting those other 3 easements. I think we can work on the section that we already have easement on. We don't have to wake up. This is a problem, and it's a bad problem. And I travel Blackjack Road myself, and I can't get down that road. And
It's in
so many holes, and then you're trying to dodge the holes, and you're trying to get, if another car coming, if you ain't careful, you're gonna hit the car trying to dodge the hole. It's a problem. And we don't necessarily have to wait, Mr. Baggett. We shouldn't wait until they call that there's a hole in that road. We should process, and we should be able to go down that road daily if necessary. We should monitor that road, because we know it's a problem. We know it's a problem, and we should monitor it. We should monitor it daily to make sure that we are taking care of those holes. So the 2 issues, how do we continue to take care of the holes on Blackjack Road? And Attorney Robinson, can you look into the possibility of starting work on Blackjack Road without getting all 3 easements and working on Blackjack Road where we do have easement, and come back, if you would, come back and give the board your legal opinion in regards to that?
I was gonna ask you the same thing, Attorney Robinson, that being the holdup, the nature of that project, and the dollars that are coming into it, which state and federal dollars anyway. I don't think we legally can begin work on it until you have all the right of ways, unless there's something.
Before we can start on this, because of the state and federal monies that are attached to it, you have to have all the,
Same thing as Longview Road.
correct, same thing as Longview Road, but part of the problem is that whenever you start and stop a project like that, the state looks at that as a.
They don't want roadblocks.
Correct.
They won't let you begin on it without all the right of ways. If, that's the way I understand it, if I can finish that.
You're not gonna get a contractor to bid something like that.
Will not be?
No,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to be able to do the whole road, and state aid, Office of State Aid Engineering will not allow us to even put it out for bid until we have it all.
And that's the way I understood it. I was just wondering, is there anything that's changed? So,
Could you
And that
give
is last
us,
week.
could you give us a written opinion in regards to that?
Anything this board wants me to do, I will definitely do.
I motion that we receive a written opinion from state aid and the parties involved as to whether or not we can start this project at the area where we have already received easement. Start working on that area that we have already received easement. And that's original plan.
I think part of what would have to take place if we could even do that, you would have to let the project in stages, you know, you would have to,
Yeah.
the engineer would have to try to, you know, because they're waiting on everything to come together and let the entire project, but I think if you were even possibly able to do that, you would have to try and let that project in stages. I
You
don't
see
know if
what,
can or
you see
not.
what he's saying, what we're saying is, we need every easement down there. And that's what's holding us up. In other words, no contractor and the state and federal dollars that are allocated for that, they won't let us begin a project until what they specified as that project is all Oktibbeha County's right of way. It can't be an apartment complex or a personal. I dealt with that on the Longview Road, they're dealing with that on the Blackjack. And, trust me, we've worked very hard to get them and still working to get them.
I have a question. He spoke of a quick take.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, my thing, and I think I heard you say something about legal action.
Yes, ma'am.
Has legal action started yet?
We have done the requirements. You have to do 2 or 3 things before you can actually do a quick take, but yes, we've actually got, the process is moving, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I know you cannot maybe put a time frame on legal action situations, but what maybe is the longest time you've ever encountered?
I think that I think in best case scenario, we should have something done by October, November in terms of this quick take.
Mhm.
That's best case. Worst case, I don't even wanna put a time on that. But the reality is we should have some of this moving in that time period.
Well, I think you told me last time it was 3 properties that wouldn't sign the
There's 3 apartments, and then one of the apartments was in the middle of selling, and it was owned by the same people, but now it's owned by, it's complicated, but it's owned by a third party. So it's 3 apartments, and then 1 person that owns property by themselves.
Okay, well, so have legal action been taken for all 3, both the 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Has been named in the legal action,
Yes,
all of
ma'am.
them at one time?
Yes, ma'am. And some of these probably before it gets to that point, we'll have signed off on stuff. Before then, we just included them in it so that we wouldn't have to go back and redo it if they didn't. So in other words, we added them in there for the purposes of this legal action, but they may not be in it before it's over.
Okay, well, have you ever known of a case where people were taken to court for a quick take and the people won or lost? You know, if you take them for the quick take and you come out losing, you don't get it?
That's certainly a possibility, but I don't think that's the case in this situation.
I wanna call your attention to something else. When we were getting ready to do the Longview Road project, I had the same recommendation to the board, you remember?
Yes, sir.
I had recommended to the board that if they didn't have the funds to do the whole road, is to do the west section and the east section. Well, the board said that it couldn't be done, that state aid would not agree to that. But as you know, later on, state aid did agree to allow us to do sections of that road, to do the west section and then do the east section without doing the center part of it. So we don't really know. We can sit around the table and say what state aid will not allow or what state aid will allow, but until we get some kind of ruling from state aid, and finally, we finally got a ruling on that Longview Road project that we really could do it that way. And that's what we need to do on this road here. And when I made that suggestion about the Longview Road project, the same thing happened. You all shook your head and said that it could not be done. It could not be done. But later on, we found out that state aid gave the approval to do it. So we really don't know. We can sit around the table and say what can be done and what cannot be done, but if we don't ask state aid to let us move forward, we never gonna know whether we can or cannot. There's a way around, there's a way to do things that if we really wanna get it done, there's a way to get it done. So let's look into, rather than saying what cannot be done, let's look into what we can possibly do.
I will point out that there was a difference in the Longview Road with the fact that we do have the money for this project. With the Longview Road, we didn't have the money, we didn't have all
At
the
the
money.
time.
Right at the time. We were able to get it, we were able to put some things together that,
Right.
that y'all were very creative about,
Right.
doing at the time. But, listen, I wanna see them taken care of, just like.
Have you called state aid and gotten anybody from state aid that may, and I mean, hey, if you can get them to agree to something like this, that's great.
Yeah.
You made contact with anybody yourself down there to state aid to see if they may agree to this? So it's just something you wanna get Attorney Robertson to do?
Yeah, well, yeah, right. I had a motion on the table earlier.
Yes, sir.
I had a motion on the table.
You had a motion for a written opinion to be, done on Blackjack Road, concerning the easements, and whether or not it could be done in stages from state aid.
Right, to work on those areas where we already have easement agreement.
Yes, sir.
That's the motion I had on the table.
I think you're gonna have to
We'll get a written
include,
opinion.
our engineer, Mr. Pritchett, in this.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to
Right.
communicate too.
Already got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion?
To do, I'm a little confused, to do what we can do.
I think it's a written opinion.
But I don't know what we can do.
Just a written opinion.
To do it where we've already got the.
And we're
right of
gonna
way.
ask the state aid, we're gonna ask state aid, we're gonna send this to state aid, who we send this to?
I think you
All
started with
agencies
Mr.
involved?
Pritchett.
The state aid engineer and the county state aid
Right,
engineer.
you gotta start with the
Yeah.
engineer,
Right.
to see what's what.
Right.
But you were just requesting a written
Yeah,
opinion.
just a written
to-
opinion, yeah.
To see whether or
But
not.
the state is, eventually, the state is gonna have to rule on that. And of course, Mr. Pritchett is gonna have to, set his, stamp of approval, on it also. But we just want a written opinion as to whether or not it can be done, that's all.
How long will that process probably take?
I really don't know. It depends on the quick.
But we don't have
From the
it.
ones that have not agreed.
We haven't finished the motion yet, though.
All those in favor of the motion, let me know by the poll vote sign. All those opposed, same sign.
I think I got the gist of what we're doing. You're on the
I've been down Blackjack Road and I'm asking, what, the sections that are in just terrible shape, in your opinion, that need grinding up? In other words, would you be open to, and that's you, I'm asking, it's kind of been thrown around to grind it up and temporarily? Because, y'all can just discuss.
You can just about do what you want to do.
I'm saying that's your.
Well, no, it's not me, it's Mr. Williams.
Well, half of it yours and half of it mine.
Well, I mean, I'll make a suggestion,
Okay.
but.
Yeah, you have the,
You may not like it.
you have the north side and I have the south side.
There's no need to contact the state aid because state aid does not have a dog in the hunt on that portion. Only thing state aid is concerned about is this portion right here that we're gonna pull out anyway.
It's federal, so.
Right, the money we can get from NBA.
Well, I
So
mean,
once we approve that, it separates the project. You can, I don't know whether you all have seen Mr. Pritchard's conceptual renderings of what we would like to do. It's really nice, and it's gonna take some time. Now, we can abandon that, and we can take that money and use county forces, go in there and reclaim that road and repay it. and we can save a whole lot of money and take that money and use somewhere else.
Well, I was talking about grinding it up now to get us through till we can.
Right, but now you'll have you have paved roads, but it'll still have those issues. As far as, but we won't be doing it in the clearance right away.
Right. You won't have a wider road.
You won't have a wider road.
Shoulder
You'll have
issues.
We don't want that to
You'll
happen.
still have utility issues. You'll still have only thing you'll be doing is riding on the smoother road.
That's it.
That's what
We could do part of
We'll
it
have a
now,
wider road.
like you said.
You'll still have
We can do part of it.
shoulder issues, you'll still
Or
have.
do you wanna do all of it?
Yeah, do part of it.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Now,
But let's take it under consideration, and we gotta get Mr. Pritchard involved in it, see, how that's gonna affect the plan.
I think he can answer a lot of these
Well,
questions we got.
By the time we meet again, we'll have some clear direction on it. Oh, yeah, by the time we meet again, we'll have meeting.
But I'm saying, I just texted him asking him when he wasn't designing.
I think we're supposed to have somebody come back on quick, like, details on the 20th for
I think we're getting off base, however. We're not talking about abandoning the plan. We're talking about keeping with the same plan, but still start working on that same plan on the area that we have easements already approved.
I'm not saying you can't do it, cause I think that would be a wise move, but at this
Yeah,
point
that'd be a
today, I
wise-
think we've gone as far as we can go today with it.
That would be a wise move.
And when we come back on the 20th, 18th to 20th, whenever we meet again, we'll have more direction, have Mr. Pritchard here, and he'll tell us what we need to do, if we're gonna get it contracted out, we gotta get a set of plan, and get it bid out, and all those things.
No. Let him give a written opinion. Whoever, it might not be state aid who need to give that written opinion, but whoever it is that's holding us up, give us a written opinion as to whether or not we can start work on that area that we already have easement agreements on with the same plan in place and not abandon the plan. I think that's, it should be simple to process.
It's all the right of way that we don't have on one side of the road, at one end of the front, or is it scattered through?
I think it's on one side. I think it's the north, is it the north side?
Maybe on the south side, I think. North.
The north side.
It's, well, maybe on both sides of it, I think it's.
The apartment complex.
Mostly
And
on
he
the
was-
south side.
Yeah.
Mostly
He lives on the south side of the road.
Yeah, he was on the south,
Yes,
but mostly
you're
on
right.
the
Cameron Trail's
north.
on the north side.
You're right,
And
north
then
and south.
where's that, so individual
Can you
lines.
He's on the south side of the road.
Name the group out complexes it is?
It's got to be the Helix, Campus Trails, and the Point.
It is.
And then Mr. Mann's property is on, his property is on the south side of the road.
Right there next to
I
the
think
east or.
Right across from the entrance of the
Realize
Point, I
too.
think.
So
Yeah.
they're all right there together.
There's been a lot of concern from parents, and they,
I'm
if
sure.
the students,
That's just the
parents
court,
realize.
they won't make a move on the court side.
Yeah, I just think we can move forward with those areas that we already have easement agreement on.
That's where we'll go. We'll get with Mr. Pritchard, he's gonna get his information together, we'll go from there. Anything else concerning this matter? If not, then we appreciate you all coming, Ms. Tate and Ms. Young, appreciate you all concern and support. I know you all represent a bigger crowd. They possibly couldn't be here today.
Yes.
And we certainly appreciate the report that you all can give back. Maybe when we come back in a couple of weeks, we'll have a little more information and have some progress to get this done. So we certainly appreciate you all coming.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, move right along, Ms. Miller, do we need to, I know we said something about, do we need to adjust those things now, you want to keep going? We can.
But you're done, please come to get out families. Well, I don't know if y'all noticed too, when we talked about that, we just opened those bids on those 3 roads, how much higher they were projected. But if you looked at the price of oil, it's gone up tremendously. In fact, they did drop $2 a barrel last week, if you look at the stock market, that's the reason the prices, the bids are so much higher now than road repair.
Which item do you want to deal with first?
Well, it doesn't matter, I mean, we could, I'll go ahead, you wanna do the blackjack, thing for Clyde?
Right, let's go ahead and deal with that. You all had in your packet about, the letter that was submitted on behalf of the county, dealing with this project, with the box cover section, the letter that Clyde sent. Any comments or questions, concerns about that letter?
Now, where those funds, how those funds relate to
Blackjack
the
Road.
funds that we're talking about now?
This is the $3 million that MSU secured through MDA.
Right.
So what they wanted to do, MSU is wanting to move forward with their parking lot project.
That's right.
Because they have some major parking concerns.
That's right.
So they're wanting to pull this out.
Yeah.
And so that will separate this away from what we're doing. So that has an impact on our project right off the bat.
Well, at one time, Mississippi State wanted to incorporate those funds with the funds from MDA.
Well, we wanted to
be incorporated together.
kind of merge the projects, I guess that's.
Yeah, we was merging the projects.
Maybe we
together.
get a better deal than we did, that's what we thought.
And we were merging the funds together also.
We're merging the funds
We
together,
were
it was
merging
gonna be
the
one
funds.
project.
That's right.
And it was all
One
gonna be
project.
paid out, we were gonna submit our money to Office of State Aid, that for our part of it, was all gonna be paid by them.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
And when we, now that we're separated out, it was bid as two projects, and my only concern would be making sure that if there's any overrun on the bid, that MSU picks up the difference.
And the way it reads, it don't seem that that's the case.
That is correct.
And we all know we need to get in writing.
Yeah.
We've all learned from the
Because
past.
if there's any overruns, it will come out of our money.
Which brings us to another point. If they can pull their funds out of state aid and not be a part of the whole
They're not
project.
pulling it out of state aid.
Yeah, they're pulling out of MDA, out of the fund, all of the project.
They're not pulling it out, we're still gonna be the main entity on it, and we're still
Right.
gonna have to make process for payments and everything from the Board of Supervisors office. Only thing is it's gonna be bid in two separate projects as opposed to one project.
Separate.
That's right.
Well, is there, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, you go ahead.
Is there a way that Mr. Pritchett can create a contract that specifically says any overruns are gonna
Based
be
on whatever his bid amount is, that he's, the estimate, if it's over his estimate, they need to be
Right,
responsible.
we need to indicate that somewhere in the contract, and have that signed by Mississippi State University. is what we need
I
to
would
do.
think so. They have already, there is additional engineering costs to separate the project, and MSU has already stated that
Agreed
they
to pay that.
will, cover that.
Okay.
So basically, our board order just needs to reflect the approval of this plus the insertion of, if there's any cost overruns, MSU will be responsible for the cost. So you heard the question. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote. Motion passes. Next item.
The bids for the,
Miscellaneous.
no, bid for, White Oak, Brick Springs, and, Louisville Road and Sturgis.
The engineer has reviewed it. He's requesting that we move forward with it. Any comments, concerns, questions from board?
No, I did, the board had, said, because it was used as the, detour road, that they would cover 70, it did come in over that, and Emily and I have already talked about where the funds will come from for the additional cost on that. So I would like to make the request to go with the suggested one, which is the first one, amount $266,000. Gregory.
We received three bids on that, and, we need to know what the bids are. And award the project to,
Murphy?
yes.
All right, got a motion, is there a second? Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion?
You had funds to cover that.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And,
Minus
they
the
gonna-
70,000 that the county was going to, help to cover for the detour. Yes, sir, I got it. I already discussed that with Ms. Evelyn.
You got the money. Good to go.
No questions? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, the next item that was in there was the slurry seal of Mill Road. We have the request, and, just to put a plug in for that, I don't know what y'all compared the prices, but I think this is a good project for us
I'm
to do.
We'll see how it turns out.
It's a two-by Howard's district, and I think the county and the citizens will appreciate this project. It's a good project for our county.
This is Miller Road. This was a road that I kinda had my eye on for a couple of years, and waiting until it got to that specific state to where I think it's perfect now for slurry seal, and that's gonna be a good little project to kinda see how this is gonna work, so.
How long of a strip is that about?
Probably not quite half mile or something like that. Is it a mile?
Yeah, I've lost it.
Well, it's a mile, it might be,
I mean, it's a pretty good little stretch, huh?
yeah.
We only received one bid on that.
Yeah.
Which is Vance Construction.
I move we accept that bid for the slurry seal.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Comment, question, Supervisor Wilson?
Yeah, I'm interested, I know it's gonna turn out and look good once you finish with it. Soil seal, this is the first project that we've done, in Oktibbeha County. Yeah.
They're doing it throughout the state, and a lot of places, that's the norm for them.
The demonstration that they showed.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to a couple of demonstrations. As a matter of fact, Supervisor Trainer brought this slurry seal up. It's been, I don't know, 8, 10 years ago. And we just didn't do it, but I thought this was a great project, a great road, to try this slurry seal, and see how it works.
Yeah. I was wondering about the process, do you have to reclaim it, or
Just go over it.
It's the
Oh, it's
slurry
overlaid.
seal, yeah, when a road gets just to the stage, to just when it starts to crack, and if you don't do something to it, then couple of years it'll be apart, but it's at the stage right now to where I think the slurry seal would extend the life of that road another 7-8 years. So, you know, that's what, and the beauty of it, you don't have the chip seal, you don't have all the rock and stuff flying around that you normally have. And you can be back on it, within an hour, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Once they come through the slurry seal, so it's just a try. Yeah. We're gonna give it a shot and see.
So
how it
far,
works.
I'm glad to see you move forward with that.
Appreciate it. Maybe that's something in the future the board will look a little close, cause this worked out pretty good.
Thank you.
All those in favor, let me know by the vote, sir. Motion passed unanimously. Well, I think there was another one in there too.
Yeah.
Dealing with miscellaneous county work. We need to accept the bid, I'm assuming we'll accept both bids, bid A and B, because they're basically different circumstances. I think they're by from the mortar construction.
Yes.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams, that we accept that bid. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote, sir. Motion passes unanimously.
I'd like us to move forward too, going here on the Longview Road. I know Supervisor Montgomery and myself are looking forward to that going out to bid, so, which will go out to bid next week if we do the transfer.
Bids
right?
today,
Bids today.
bids today and next week.
No, next week.
And we open on July.
So, number 12, I'd like to get on your agenda, and that's the transfer of funds, so Longview Road, the approval of transfer funds, bids today and bids again next week. So I'd like to make the motion, and
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery.
that's
All those in favor?
to pave Longview
Let it be known by the proper vote, sir.
Road. In the back, we've got some in favor in the back.
Motion carries unanimously.
I also would like to, all we had to do was approve the telepack, and, I'm sure everybody's already aware that they're running that fiber in many districts. So that was just,
We approve that. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that's a telepath, right away request.
Right.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk, vote saying.
And then I'd like to share that, on Thursday, I'm on the Mississippi Association Supervisor Scholarship Committee. And so Thursday, I was kinda hoping that we would get the scholarships before the high schools do their handouts, so y'all could go, I know we have one this week, you know, at one of the high schools where they're doing the scholarship awards, but I won't know until I go down on Thursday, and I will bring that information back with whom in Oktibbeha County will receive scholarships, so we can award this, we can do that here, but it's also nice to be able to do that at the school. I was wondering if we could do the EMCC appointment. I'd like to make a recommendation for Mr. Spencer Brooks. He said that we had appointed before. He would be moving into the chairman of the finance committee, and he has not missed a meeting since we appointed him to that. So I was wondering if that would be okay if we reappointed him since we put him in that position.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion to reappoint Mr. Brooks.
This is for a new term?
Yes, he did complete Mr. Bell's term, and now it just puts him in as his, for full term.
And how long is this term?
4 years. Four, 5. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's 3.
How long will that term, Tim? 5. I knew you couldn't serve the board. You sit back there with your hand up, yeah, 5 years.
So that's,
Yeah.
so you on the board?
He used to serve for Lance County.
So, okay.
Any more questions? If not, all those in favor of reappointing Mr. Brooks, let it be known by the clerk, vote saying. Motion passed unanimously.
Are the terms different for the different people, or all of them 5?
All of them 5.
It's just that they stagger
Right.
Okay.
appointments every.
I have one more thing I'd like to bring to the board. I'd like to ask that I get board approval to have Mr. Pritchard go out in the corner of South Montgomery and London Way. We're having terrible flooding. A new construction of a home right there. It's backed it up on London Way and it's flooding everybody's yards. So I'd like to have permission to have Clyde Pritchard give us some engineering options to fix that.
Got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any questions concerning that motion?
He's to have him go out and look at, is it something that the new construction is causing, or what is?
I'm not sure exactly. I know he's involved. He did some of the work for building that home as well. But I know that there's 2 culverts out there that is in one driveway instead of one big culvert. So I would like just to have him go out and look and give us some options for that.
Okay, something that the county, I just wanna make sure, is this a development, or is this?
No, it's not a
something
development. It's a single home that's on the corner of South Montgomery and London Way. And it's been sitting there for a very long time. It has not been completed yet. But after the driveway and the house was built, it backed the water all the way up London Way. And I've got some pictures here. I'll be glad to email
And
to
I understand, I'm just trying to see, is something, you want to look at the county right of way to see what we can do on the county right of way to okay, I wasn't following you right there. I just was thinking you were talking about enterprise or something.
I think that, I've had a lot of flooding area, situations in District 5, and I've submitted that to Mr. Baggett, and, I've submitted it also to, E911 Emergency Management. And that really should be the process, to submit it to E911 Emergency Management too, to make it a part of the, storm recovery. I think we need to keep in mind that if Clyde goes out, there's an expense, but Mr. Baggett can go out and do the same thing on county time and give the same recommendation. So I really don't see why Mr. Clyde would have to go out and do something that Mr. Baggett can do.
he was involved in the development of building his home, that's the reason I asked for the police. And so, that was my motion.
I'll second that.
Motion second. Discussion. All those in favor, let me know by vote. All those opposed, same sign.
I'm gonna oppose simply because I'm still not following what's going on. I'm not understanding what we're asking Mr. Pritchett to do. There's a house that was built and now it's causing flooding.
It's not complete, yeah.
So somebody tell me what we're doing.
I can show, I've seen it. If this is London Way, here's South Montgomery right here.
Okay.
And she's gotta go right here, where that driveway is right here. This whole ditch backs up, and where this comes across right here, it backs up this ditch, and there's houses. When I say houses right here. I didn't stop.
Was it backing up before the house was built?
Before that culvert was in there, I like that.
So that's something we installed and caused the problem.
I don't know.
Who put the cover in, who put the cover in?
Probably us, but now I don't know. All I know is when I went through there, and I went to, last week I went in your district way out to go look at some stuff. Went to Brandon Creek, and on the way out there, it was raining. That ditch was, you could swim in. But all three of these ditches you could swim in.
But I'm not Supervisor Williams.
Mr. Baggett is doing the same
Something on
thing.
our county right away, our road manager can go take a look at it.
We can do that and it doesn't cost us anything.
But part of the problem is, and I mean, hey, he can go fix it, but it's gonna be beyond, I think, just that one culvert. That's just what I saw, guys. I mean, don't you dismiss it.
I understand. We deal with drainage issues all the time.
Motion passed 3 times.
Yeah.
All right, let's back up and see if we can catch the rest of the stuff so we can move on a little bit further. Mr. Akers, supplemental insurance. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, how y'all doing?
Doing great.
I just wanted to stop by today and just introduce myself, you know. My dad was on the agenda too, but he had jury duty this morning, so sadly he couldn't make it. So this is actually like my first, I guess, you know, board meeting doing it by myself, and kind of nervous, but I figured I'd pass.
Jonathan or Tyler now?
Jonathan.
Okay.
Well, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right. Well, first, I just want to, you know, say thank you for the opportunity, you know, to come here and, you know, I guess present. Really, just what I wanted to, you know, stop by and talk about was just really, you know, myself and Ackland Ancillary Group as, you know, I guess as a whole. We, you know, me and my dad, you know, he's been doing the Ackland Ancillary for a while. He's been a broker. He works with, we're in Clay County. We do the benefits there in Clay County, and he has. Sorry, I'm nervous.
No, you're doing great.
Honestly, but
yeah,
You're doing good. The first time I was in your shoes, I probably cried for 2 days.
yeah, no, I was fine when I was sitting over there, but then as soon as I came up here, I was like, couldn't breathe.
Tell us what you got here to do, man.
We're just talking to four guys.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, we work with, you know, I guess I'm trying to prove our reputability. Have y'all ever heard of East Mississippi State Hospital, North Mississippi State Hospital, South Mississippi State Hospital? You know, they all merged together, and they're basically like this huge, like, entity now. I mean, when I say huge, like 1,400 people in there. And so my dad actually just took that account over, him and his partner, Josh Klein, that, you know, they've been working together for a while. But anyway, so, you know, we can handle, you know, large accounts. And really, you know, why I think Ackland is better than, I guess, you know, well, you know, really just in every county has, you know, they want to offer, I guess, you know, everything to the people just because, like, you know, they want their employees to have, like, I guess, options. And you know, in some cases, you know, it's good, but you know, it gets to be at like a point where it's just like a big hodgepodge of like, you know, people saying different things about their products. And I think it's nice to know with Ackland, you know, that we're going to bring the best to the table. You know, every year, you know, we're going to look for, you know, guaranteed issue, you know, life and cancer. Like in the East Mississippi State Hospital, you know, my dad, you know, with the size of that account, which, you know, it doesn't have to be 1,400 man, but I mean, even like a 200 man, you know, you could probably get it done. But you know, he waived pre-existing conditions, you know, across the board. I mean, you know, there were people coming in and sitting in front of me that had cancer, you know, can get a cancer policy. And, you know, that's a lifesaver, you know. I mean, but so I guess, you know, what I'm saying is, you know, I guess, you know, I just want you guys to consider on, I guess, narrowing down, you know, the whole bunch of like agents out there just kind of trying to stuff, you know, what they're selling down y'all's, you know, employees' throats. You know, I don't mean to, you know, like bash all the other agents. You know, they're just trying to, you know, I guess make a dollar. And but you know, I feel like if y'all were to, you know, consider Ackland, you know, as an option, you know, we could, you know, make it more personal experience and, you know, like be one-on-one and make sure, you know, all the employees are truly informed and educated about the decisions that they're going to make. And not only that, but, you know, they would, you know, potentially have the opportunity, you know, if anybody were to, you know, have pre-existing conditions or, you know, have cancer, you know, hopefully, you know, we could get that done. But, you know, we could go with that and just be more personal experience, and it'd be, I wanted to bring this up too. You know, considering that it is, you know, a more personal experience, I think that people respond to that, you know, better than just like, you know, walk into a room and there'd be like 20 tables lined up with, you know, different companies and different agents. You know, it almost seems like, you know, overwhelming. But I feel like if, you know, one team, you know, me and my dad team, you know, were to handle the whole group, then, you know, I feel like we'd have more, like a substantial increase of penetration. So at least a 10 to 15% bump in penetration, which means, you know, more like pre-taxable dollars, which, you know, helps y'all save on FICA and stuff like that. But, you know, I feel like Ackland is a great opportunity, you know, not only y'all, but, you know, really everybody, you know, that y'all are over. And I guess I really just, you know, wish y'all would consider it at least.
Well, I tell you, and I appreciate everything you brought to us today,
Yeah.
Jonathan. So a question, you're a supplemental like an Aflac, an Allstate.
Yeah.
So, and I know we've got people that do our supplemental insurance. I
Yeah.
don't know how exclusive or this or that it is. I know we have one. But do you help? One of the concerns I've got from employees, what the one we've got now is, and hey, we've got a good group now.
Yeah.
Is, in other words, they may not know how or what qualifies as far as, hey, I go to the doctor, I go in an ambulance, I go this, you know, this kind of cancer, this kind of doctor appointment, I went and got a physical, you know, things like that. Can you help them fill these claims out?
Oh, well, I mean,
you know, because that's been something that, you know, somebody gets a claim form that's 4 or 5 pages long.
Yeah.
And there's so many questions they don't know how to answer.
No, absolutely. I mean, and you know, all the accounts that we do, you know, well, so say if I don't know who handles the group now. I know, and you know, some agents basically just kind of go in blindly and, you know, get these accounts, write a bunch of business, and then kind of just drop it. You know, go back to the open enrollment every year, write more business, and, you know, people are calling them about claims and all that stuff. And, you know, I mean, they're just kind of dragging their feet. Is that what you're referring to?
It's kind of service after the sale.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what, you know, in my opinion, that's like a super big part of what I do. You know, like okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So my dad, you know, he went to Mississippi State, you know, went to forestry school, and, you know, he was a forester for a couple of years, and, you know, then he, you know, got my mom pregnant with me. And, you know, just, you know, her being a dental hygienist and him making $30,000 a year really wasn't, you know, paying the bills like it should. So he, my mom also, they lived in Bashaw, Alabama, and you know, my mom was like, you know, I'm moving back, and you can come with me. You don't have to, but you know, I would love for you to, but you know, I'm leaving. So my dad had to leave his job, you know, there, so you know he could be with my mom and you know obviously be with me. So he started working with Aflac, and now when he first started, he was like, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm sure everybody has their you know opinion on you know insurance agents, you know, just like oh you know almost like a car salesman. You know, not to say anything bad about a car salesman, but you know what my dad has, you know, I guess me growing up with it, you know, I've come to see, you know, how big of an impact, you know, it can actually take in people's lives. And, you know, that's what I strive for. You know what I mean? Like my dad's always told me growing up, you know, whatever you do, you know, just make a difference. And, you know, that's what I want to do. And I mean, I fully plan on doing that. And that's, you know, what his dad told him growing up. So, you know, that's always been the main goal. And then, you know, my dad, you know, when he first started with Aflac, he didn't think that he was going to be happy because, you know, he wasn't making a difference. Because he didn't fully understand, you know, what being necessarily an Aflac agent, you're just, you know, being able to offer certain solutions to people like that. But he just thought that, you know, oh, you know, sales, you know, I don't know about this. But, you know, when you get an account, say, like, I have this account, I'm sure y'all know Village Cycle Center. It's my first claim. And now, I know this isn't much, but, so this lady, you know, she didn't really want the accident policy, you know, she ended up getting it. And, you know, she probably only makes $10 and $11 an hour. And, you know, her kid fell, like, 2 weeks ago. And, like, hit his head, you know, had to go to the ER. And now, obviously, you know, that's not good. And, you know, just the fact that, you know, I sat down with her and like, you know, obviously offered it to her, you know, explained it to her, and she got it, and she actually gets to use it. You know, that can make it's such like a.
Let me ask you this. Let sort of piggyback off of what Supervisor Montgomery was asking. I guess a big portion is educating the policyholder. Yeah. You know. My wife is great at deciphering insurance. I'm not that good at it. Yeah. But if the policyholder or the employee was educated on what they had, they would be better equipped to use. Yeah, absolutely. Use the tool. Yeah. You know, not knowing what you got. He mentioned about, you know, which type of cancer, which doctor's appointment, which just the fact that. And that might be something the board can look into as far as putting on some sort of educational seminar for our employees to educate them on what they got. But back to that point, do you all educate? And it sounded like that's what you were saying. Yeah. When you come in, you actually educate the policyholder on what they're actually purchasing, how to use it, and things like that.
Yeah, and that's like what Ackland was built off of. And I was starting this huge, massive story, and it's such a long story. I know y'all are so busy, but yeah, that's what my dad built Ackland Ancillary Group off of, was the, you know, I guess the idea that he just can't stand, because he wants to make a difference. He doesn't want to go out, sell a bunch, and not service the account. He wants to make a difference, and you know and how to make a difference. You know, you're not going to make a difference running somewhere, selling a bunch, you know, not servicing the account, because you know you're not, you know, enabling the people to, you know, even file the claims. I mean, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone into an existing account and like they've just been paying this, you know, premium for 5 years, and like they have wellness, you know, visits, you know, built up. You know, thank God they don't go bad, but you know, it's crazy how. I mean, maybe even some of y'all neglect y'all's, you know, ancillary products. Like, you know, do any of y'all have any like a cancer policy or anything like that? Do y'all go every year and file y'all's wellness visit?
Yes. Yeah. But the thing is, and that was my point to you, is that I didn't know that. Yeah. And a lot of people don't get told that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, you know, I guess going back, that, you know, that's the whole point of my dad branching off and not only doing Aflac, you know, because he wanted to build something, you know, of his own, to where, you know, people were truly informed and educated on what they were, you know, buying, so he could in turn make a difference. 'Cause yeah, so.
Can I suggest to, Mr. President, that he get with our county administrator and sit down with her, show her what you got,
Yeah.
and go over what you're offering, and then we can.
Yeah,
she can get back with us.
I apologize. I didn't want to bring products to the table
Understand.
necessarily today because I didn't want to like.
You just coming and
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I was
Well,
could
I
barely
think
talk
that'd
when I
be-
said
Oh, listen, you did great, but I think if you'll just get with our county administrator, show her
Okay.
what you got, and, then she can relay this information back to us.
All right, and who would that? I guess.
Ms. Garrett.
Ms. Garrison.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Well.
yeah. Just set an appointment,
Okay.
she, you get her information so you can set a time to go and talk with her.
Okay.
She keeps the board abreast of
Okay.
our insurance and things.
Do I need to do that now or like go to?
Well,
Give me a call.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Or
you know where my office is.
Yes, ma'am.
Down there,
Okay.
before.
all right. Well, thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, I really do appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
Have a great day.
All right.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Was that Miss Brinkman Miller?
Yes, that was.
Okay, my dad went to high school with her brother, Wayne, but I don't think she recognized me. That's why she didn't say anything. But anyway, thank y'all so much for your
Thank you.
time. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Baggett, come on forward. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Doesn't bell now, he got lost in the shuffle. How you doing?
I couldn't talk, I couldn't say anything, I turned red, and kept sitting there, I was sweating profusely.
Man, I know the feeling.
He did good.
He did
good,
good.
though.
Yes,
He's
ma'am.
a young guy too, he did good.
Yeah.
The insurer we got, not naming anybody, is it exclusive to them? Do we have to pick an exclusive?
We have to pick an exclusive cafeteria and administrator. They have to be registered with the state audit.
So you can only have one insurance?
No.
You
They
can have multiples?
Multiple people can come to open enrollment and sell their plans.
If they qualify.
Yeah, sell their products, but the administrator is one company.
Gotcha.
So yes, they can sell there, but it has to be just one administrator.
Good morning, Mr. Baggett.
Morning.
Good morning.
Does everybody have the report? Any questions regarding what's in it?
How are we coming on, and I apologize, how are you coming on those roads that we had discussed previous, well, it's been a couple meetings ago, I guess now, what was it, Fox?
Prater,
Prater and
Fielder.
have we gotten those roads?
We haven't,
Have we started on them?
we done, no.
I know the weather's been an issue.
No, that's been the entire issue, the weather.
Can't remember if I spoke with you about having a second pipe put in on Water Well Road. You know?
Mark and I have talked about it.
Okay.
Down at the end.
Yeah, now where it keeps washing.
Right.
Okay, good deal.
Is it true that all of the work that you do after the storm date could be used as a storm project? And I know there's certain things that cannot, but most of the flood outs and washouts and stuff like that.
I believe if it's related to
The storm.
the storm, it
Storm.
can, yes.
So like Long Range, we can put that on there, where, you know.
Yeah, what we're doing is, we having, foremen to write on their, worksheets if it's related to a storm or not. And then we take it from there.
How are we going to handle that? Ms. Emily, have you thought about that in terms of how we're going to handle that in terms of reimbursement, when reimbursement comes in? We are doing work on some of these roads, and they are being as a result of the snow?
We're submitting all of the work, the hours of what they're doing, we're submitting it to MEMA, and they will decide if we're gonna get reimbursed and what we can count towards the storm damage. But it's all the information being gathered, collected, and sent on to them.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Ms. Baxter?
Well, what about, I guess we can do this and then I've got a couple of
Okay.
minor issues.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Supervisor McCombs, second by Supervisor Howard, that we accept the road manager report. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Go ahead, Supervisor.
Well, there was a couple of trees I think we saw that were,
Yeah, we have trees that are, say off the right of way, maybe 10, 15 feet. But if these trees fall and some of them are leaning toward the road, they're gonna obviously fall out in the road. I'd like to get permission to cut those trees down. We probably have 8 of them like that. And
They're on the right of way,
they're not on the right of way.
and we'll have to get,
right of entry agreement.
right of entry
I can do that.
agreements,
That won't be any problem.
and what, didn't we get that coming and remove that sort of stuff?
If it was threatening their
Power
power lines, now, I don't know whether they'll do it now, threatening the road, I'm sure they can, but we can contact them and see if they can help us get it down.
Okay.
I'll see.
So, basically what we need to do is just go ahead and get the paperwork.
Neither one will
Fred
affect
on
the
the
power
minutes.
line, that's the
We done.
problem.
Yeah, most of them are.
They won't.
Yeah, they won't.
But now, I've got one tree that I guess I can think of that's off the power line, the others are on it, or in it, you know, but I'll go get those that are not.
So we just need to make a motion to allow him with the proper right of entry paperwork.
Yeah, and I'll get you that today or tomorrow.
We need the roads and the locations for the borehole.
Okay.
So if you can get that to him, we can pass the order, and then when y'all do the minutes, you just put that together.
One of them is 3569 Old Highway 12, and another one is 2035 Old Highway 12.
I think 30, the first one, it's on the right of way, it's on county right of way.
And
The
then
second one is not.
the second one, and 2035 Old Highway 12, and 3569, 68, 3969.
That's 69.
3569 and
35. And I've also got another one, I don't even know if I'll let you know, on 5191 Suffolk Creek Road. It's another big pine tree it's on the right of way. And it's leaning, if it fell, it'd cover both sides of Suffolk Creek Road. If either of these trees fell, it'd cover Old Highway 12. In the woods.
All of these are trees that would cover the road.
Oh,
if
yes.
we're- Okay, just making sure I'm not.
And the only one that's not on the right of way is at 2035 Old 12. There's only one, like he's saying.
You need
it
right of
is-
entry
It is
easements.
like this. Here's the road.
Which one do you need a right of entry agreement?
2035.
That's the only one?
Old 12, yeah.
Okay. The others, we just need orders to say do it. Okay.
So they're on the right of way.
Yeah, yeah.
Motion by Supervisor McCombs, second by Supervisor Howard, are there questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote.
I'll get right of entry agreements on all 3 of them for you, just in case. Okay.
Can you give us an update on the Hillbrook, situation, and what are your plans for completion, in regards to that?
Okay, on Hillbrook and Craig Springs. And we have some other little spots. We've gotten everything cut and ready to load on Hillbrook and Craig Springs. And so what we plan to do is to work on the Hillbrook for the remainder of the week, and hopefully make our first round of debris hauling from one end to the other. And then the debris that's being put out now, we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna go back to Craig Springs because those people have been waiting. And then we'll do that until we get it all picked up. But I'm looking at if we had a one good week of, hauling and no major breakdowns, we could finish Hillbrook up, the first round, this week. And then next week, we could do the same thing over in Craig Springs area. And we have some more of those spots that are scattered out that are not as urgent.
And then you're saying that, like Hillbrook, Craig Springs, and then, like you said, give the people from Hillbrook a chance to get more. Then Craig Springs, same thing, and you go
That's
do your
right.
secondaries.
I think Craig Springs have most of theirs on the road, if we can get back down there, because we started in Craig Springs and left there and went to Hillbrook.
I know what too he's dealing with, it's neither one of these are in my district, but of course it's still our county. Could we, and this is a attorney question, when you're starting to deal with disaster money like this, is there a way to separate your trees and limbs and stuff like that and the debris, tin, wood, shingles, etc.? Because if they have to haul the limbs as far as they have to haul the debris that could be considered hazardous, you may say, and that's gonna tie him up and the road crew up, and it's gonna, you know what I mean, it's gonna affect the other districts as well. Can we take that kind of debris somewhere and put it somewhere and burn it, or is that a no-no?
All right, you got several questions wrapped up in there, but here's the thing, I'm gonna try to get the RFP set up for this week and get a determination of what dates we wanna do that. If we get the monitoring service first, that monitoring service will help us delineate some of this, and it'll take some of the heat off of him to try to deal with this. So the RFP for the monitoring hopefully will go out by the end of this week, or beginning of next week for advertising. After we get the monitoring, they will help us get the actual contractors that will come in and help us with this stuff. We are set with, we have a contract with where we're supposed to take our debris right now with the Golden Triangle,
Out at there.
right, we are contracted with them that we have to do this with them. However, there's a caveat. We can ask for their permission to handle some of this differently, if it's cheaper. In other words, we're kind of set up to have to deal with them to find out.
It has to be their blessing.
Yeah, we have to get their blessing for this.
Would they in turn, and before you continue, would they lose, and I hate to say it like this, but would they lose money as far as?
Yeah. They lose money. The problem that you run into with this, it's detrimental to their own business plan if they agree to let us move stuff. So to be honest with you, they're probably not going to. However, in an emergency type situation like this, and trying to, they may decide that this is to their benefit to go ahead and allow this as well. Now we have members that are on our board that are members of that particular board that can explain to them what we're up to and why we're doing what we're doing. But if they say no,
They say no.
that's just the way it is. The burning process, we were told originally that we cannot burn, and for a generic rule for us from this point until forever, no burning. However, we did get the thumbs up to look at this a little differently, because of the amount of stuff.
However, you have to have that big fan.
Yeah,
That
right.
Mr. Bag is familiar with the fan, and you have to
leave
be,
any ashes on the plate.
and you can't be within so many feet of people's houses, so it's not practical.
Well, it really kind of blows your mind after you realize what they are gonna require after you burn it. And so it's, practicality is.
They require that all the ashes after you burn is load all the ashes up and take the ashes away also. Can't leave nothing on the side.
This is very peculiar as to how all of this.
A couple loads of ashes is better than 100 loads.
But it's with
Yeah,
all the problems associated with it.
Yeah.
But it's a headache, is that what you?
Well,
It's unfeasible, I'm asking.
It's not normally allowed. Burning of any kind is not allowed. However, due to the amount of trees and everything down, that they made an exception, but you have to do it at a certain area. You have to have somebody there the whole time you have to be renting this big old piece of a fan or something.
Keep it burning clean.
What I'm gonna ask us to do is let, cause there's a lot of loose ends with this, and the only pivot person that's gonna be able to help put a lot of this together is gonna be Miss Emily, to be able to determine, but we need to have somebody to determine when we're gonna put the stuff in the newspaper and run all this stuff, and generally speaking, the RFP process, it's similar to the way we always do our RFPs, but it's a little different in the sense that after talking to a couple of the monitoring companies, they're saying that we can run this for 2 weeks, have a interview process, which I think needs to go through Miss Emily and as well as somebody from this board to sit down with them and just listen to them, interview them, because you may end up with somebody that looks good on paper, but once you've met with them, you may not want to necessarily deal with them.
What is a monitor?
Monitoring, this is a new one for me too. Monitoring is the people that show up and basically, because we're getting reimbursement, they're the bosses of how this is to be dealt with. They keep up with the pickup, how much loads is being done. It basically takes some of the management's type stuff off of you having to deal with.
So you're gonna advertise, and when you gonna advertise, you're gonna do it for 2 weeks?
I'm hopefully we're gonna be able to knock this out this week, next week maybe, if we can get it all
So
together.
you said you'll be done, you'll be through by the time.
Well, you get me the RFP, I can advertise, and
It-
yes,
now-
if they keep on out, we're gonna be finished by the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, this is the question I have, that we can get reimbursed even without having this.
If they agree.
Well, if they agree to pay for this stuff, we can do this,
Right.
we're just gonna have to do it ourselves. I guess this is the big question. The RFP is basically ready.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, the process for this is gonna take 2 or 3 weeks. And this is the big question this board needs to ask. We can ask our current people that we have that's doing this to continue doing it. We will be allowed to be reimbursed for that. To be honest, it may actually be beneficial for the county to do it that way, if I've read this stuff correctly. But that being said, that's an awful lot to ask our road department to be able to keep up with what he's keeping up with and this.
No,
Well, he's gonna have to keep up with that anyway.
yeah, we monitoring, we're filling those sheets out.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do that anyway.
Do you feel comfortable? There may not be a reason for us to move forward with the RFP.
I feel comfortable with it. I'll tell the board what I plan to do, and, so they'll understand. We've got we got everything cut and piled, with the exception of, a few spots. And so, right now we have new construction and grubbing crew working on that. After today, the grubbing crew will be done with the cutting and the piling, and we can move them to hauling and take new construction off, and let them proceed with the work that we have to do. And I think in 4 weeks at the most, we'll be done.
So it hadn't put a stress on your workforce to.
It hadn't because of the time of the year.
Okay, but
Now,
because it's
after-
been raining and.
When the sun comes out and stay out for a couple of weeks straight.
This took a couple of big haul trucks from our shop.
It has.
I mean, yeah.
But we haul at an average about 30 loads a day, and so, and I'm working with Mark. I put some additional people that help him with his workload, and I think we can handle it.
Because when we first talked about this, what we said was, let's move forward with looking at contractor, but allowing our road department to do some work, but not all of it. But it sounds like we're at the point now to where, by the time we get through the process of advertising and this and that.
Ain't gonna be much for us to do.
So your plan is to hold down to our.
That's what we've been hauling.
So, let me, and this might be off base, but I wanted to ask this. The affected road area where these trucks gotta travel, and I know when you start getting out close to the waste management place, that road you can just see where the trucks have just worn it out. Could the affected road area get some funding for the repair of the road? You can't? I don't think so.
No, not from just the travel that we're putting on to get to the dump site.
Okay, I was just asking, but, it sounds like We might as well just keep
We'll
rolling like.
we'll keep going, and if you feel comfortable with us, just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see what
Well,
happens.
we could use us as a backup plan.
That's right.
It sounds to me like you've got,
we miss our
look,
pitches.
you guys are heroes as far as I'm concerned. Craig Springs Road don't even look like the same. I drove through there after this occurred. You guys have done a phenomenal job. I'm shocked at how.
Lots of materials.
I just can't get over it. So, y'all have done a great job. This had never had anything to do, I just couldn't believe you'd be able to handle it like you've handled it, so.
Well, I didn't either, it went fast
I
once
don't
we got
think
started.
we have enough debris down to warrant, contractor money.
Yeah. And again, the weather has sort of been a blessing for this reason, for him to be able to continue to work, cause if it had been dry and as a bone, you know,
And
so
we're
it's
and
just.
we're still
You've been on
not
Prey
sure
Line
that
Farm.
we're gonna get approved for assistance. We might be covering all this ourselves.
We just have to document and turn it in and see.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay, we got some outline projects, we got, your cover to put in.
Okay.
Special one.
Alright.
We started the project on County Line Road prior to the weather, and we'd like to finish that one. We need to go back and do some dig out on Bluff Lake. We need to work on Riviera, and we need to do, finish Pat Station. Now, Pat Station still has some money available, but these other projects, these projects are gonna have to come out of the maintenance, budget. And my question is, we have a nice line item for asphalt. And all the, asphalt and tar and this type thing. So how do I work with these roads, with the asphalt machine and that? What do I do? I need some direction from the board on that.
You see where you can maneuver some funding to do what needs to be done within the existing budget?
I do, yes. I mean, all of the jobs I just mentioned are maintenance, like, County Line, Riviera, Bluff Lake. These are maintenance projects.
He's talking about the hot mix, where we always put that money out of your your road budget, and now y'all all out of that money, but these, roads need to be fixed, is what he's getting at.
Right. The money's in the, I think the money's in the budget.
Okay, if it's in the budget, I'm gonna say.
Mine's not hot mix, you know, it's just
Right, yours is-
digging out some
I
spots.
think the only thing that's hot mix is gonna be, Bluff Lake.
Yeah.
It's gonna fund.
Now Riviera might
Do
need
you
a
not
little.
go into,
We're gonna do some dig out.
your
Okay,
road
okay.
money.
So it's been suggested that we get a packet that we spread on the minutes that the action that we need to do will not count against any 4-year road money.
Okay.
So, can you get motion second?
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the poll vote, say aye. Motion passes.
And before I
Well,
start.
since you're on that,
Yeah.
Bluff Lake Road
Mhm.
is in that same situation.
Yeah, I said I got Bluff Lake
You
on.
got Bluff Lake, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
And before you move forward, Dan, again, before you move forward, when your workers, I believe that when they are hauling debris, debris are dropping off the truck, and it really shouldn't be loaded down like that, so it might not be them, but there's a lot of debris side the road. That's,
Right.
and I don't know whether it's coming off our truck or what, but there are debris alongside the road that we need to check and
Okay.
go back
I
and
think
pick
the
that debris up.
emergency, manual that we've got says that they're supposed to have tailgate on, and I think ours is running without tailgate, so they need to put the tailgate back on.
Well, no, it said that they had to be 80% full, that they can't be 100% full.
But you still can't go without the
80%.
tailgate.
They didn't say anything about that, but they
I think
did.
I got it in my manual.
Okay, I know they said 80% full.
That's gonna change the process on.
Make it a nightmare, but we work through it. We've been working with, the state troopers on that. I don't think we've lost any, we might have, but I don't believe we have. Yeah, and before I do any of these major projects, I'll come back with a number for the board.
I've got, this is something just put in the back of your mind, and this kinda goes with the board, if we're planning on this year using that summer help program again, the reason I asked was, just all over the county, there's limbs and falling in the ditches, they really need cleaning up. And that would be good if we were gonna use this summer program to hire some summer workers, maybe to, we used that once before, and I thought it went real well, Don wasn't too crazy about having to keep up with, but why wouldn't we use that summer program?
Because you can't put in, this is that lame duck year, and you can't put on extra people for the road department.
Well, when we did it before, we had some special grant money or something, because we went through planning and development district.
Those were those kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that program's available now, I haven't heard anything about it.
Well, I guess we'll
Yes,
check into it.
It's a good idea.
No, it's because these people are under the age that we can work them, in the type of jobs that they were working in.
I think I had them pulling, like moving files,
Yeah.
the old files.
Yeah, the basement and all that,
Yeah.
they put up files and moved files and cleaned up the basement and all that.
If they're under the age of what we can work them in the type of, for working on the road.
What age do they have to be? 18?
High school kids.
18 or maybe 21 for, the road department.
It's some change in, cause when I was coming up at 16, I was on back over everything.
Well, it's changed, it is changed.
Somebody forgot to show my daddy too.
Yeah.
175 horsepower.
That's when
I ain't saying,
they
I'm
told me
not saying
about,
make it 100%.
about,
100%
right
for
where
is
labor
fine with
coming
me.
in on the
You just have to go back and
supervisor
pick some of that
on the
stuff.
part-time,
Yeah, we're not losing it.
Work
We
people
ain't
that
losing that.
young and,
A lot of people home.
young people can work better than
A lot
old
of folk
people.
home.
Yeah, you could, but you know, you can't.
Well, let's just check into it and see
Yeah,
what.
there you go, let's check
regulations
into
are.
what
they can do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
there you
they
go.
can.
And
I mean, they can pick up limbs at least and throw them on the truck.
It's a problem, a bad problem that we're having.
That
We're
is,
using the song.
they're not on the
Yeah.
count, the program he's talking about, they're not on county payroll, they
Right.
were a grant through the planning and
Right.
development district, a youth
Right.
program, and I don't know that we can, but if we
But
can.
You put two or three of us
there's
out
no
with
law
a
that
man
says
in
how
a
much
truck
it
and have them
limits
throwing
you
them
on how much
limbs out
overtime
of
an
the
employee
ditch.
can get doing that shit.
No, but it's gotta be just within, it can't go to the previous.
Oh, I know you can't go over the budget, I
Yeah,
know
it can't
that.
go to the previous year, y'all were good on last year, we had a lot.
I was just trying
Yeah.
to look at a way to maybe get all these
Right.
limbs out of these
Now,
ditches
you
that's
can
falling.
use volunteers. So how about that?
That's something we work on, we look at.
You can't, you know, we got Mr. Baggett presented a program to us
Yeah, he did.
with some incentives that would, you know, it was gonna take some monetary, incentives to maybe look at getting some volunteers. But like I said, I know we're dealing with the last year of the term, and I don't want it to be misunderstood. And so that's why I said, you know, even if we had to allow some of our workers to work a little extra to get that done because it's needed, you know, that might be the best approach now. And we're seeing where we are. But now I do think we need to look at volunteer programs, youth summer programs, whatever we can do. And I do know it's a responsibility, you know, giving young people a job. But I think that we can.
But I think
figure out ways
it's,
to work.
you know,
It'd be well
to
worth
me,
it.
yeah, to me, it was worth it. You had some young kids that was able to earn some money, and they were able to go and spend some money in Oktibbeha County, and, you know, to me, I know it's a headache, Ms. Emily, I know,
No, it's
but
not a
we
headache
can,
for me.
we can put, I think we can, if we can get the grant, I think we need to use, that's just me.
Summertime's coming up and these youth in our youth court will triple
Absolutely.
if we don't find something.
Find something for them to do.
So you're saying we're gonna pay one way or the other?
Well,
One
we've
way or
done several youth volunteer programs that we need to go back
Let's,
and,
yeah,
that some of, maybe we'll get some help from some of those.
okay. I was just trying to look at a way to help get
Okay.
these limbs out the ditches, cause it's bad.
I'll show you how to do it.
My daddy didn't have a problem motivating me, I can promise you.
I promise you.
Anything else, Mr. Baggett?
And
Overtime for
it's
Mosquito
on track.
Spring.
Okay, overtime for Mosquito Spring.
Okay,
That's you asking for a
I'm
question.
asking about overtime for Mosquito Spring.
And what are we doing about the other spring
We're gonna start, Mr.
on the gravel road?
Gary, Gary,
Okay,
he came by this morning.
Okay.
We set up a time with him, we're gonna work with him on that.
Hey, can I make sure we get on the spraying, we don't spray Oakwood Drive off of New Light Road?
Okay. I will.
O-A-K Wood, Oakwood.
Can we get a motion in a second for that?
Let me, can we kind of amend that? Could we give our road manager the discretion to allow overtime at his discretion? Because there's other things that some of these guys, they've stayed late to try to finish up. I know it's been a crew that they were trying to beat the rain, so they stayed late and you know. So I think we need to give our road manager the discretion to allow overtime at his discretion.
To me, it was already understood, because when these emergency things come up, I mean, they
Well, I
gotta
think we
respond.
just need an official board order.
Okay,
Would
well,
be to.
Well, that's good, and to add to that, and I don't mind any of that, but to add to it, just for future references
I understand.
and
Have documentation.
just give it, add it to our road report.
I will.
That, hey, you
Well,
had
it's necessary.
Yeah.
so much overtime, that way it can
It was
be
necessary.
monitored.
Yeah.
But I think you need the discretion to allow overtime.
Motion, I appreciate that.
Second.
Right, so motion and second with the motion that Supervisor Howard amended. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, question on the motion. All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk.
I just have one observation. Could you possibly look into overtime as a possibility of getting some of the limbs out of the ditches and limbs aside the road?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, we'll monitor the overtime and get it to the board, and then they'll be real aware of what's going on. Just one of those, for your information, none of our, retirees are working this summer.
No.
They don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Can we give them a first and a motion and second and approval on the county line Bluff Lake Riviera? Okay.
There we go.
That's Howard Williams.
We already got that discussion.
I think it was fair that we already approved the road manager report.
And I'll get you, I'll bring that to you.
Moving right along.
Come get one.
Ms. Livingston, any chance for this?
The only thing I have is that, CD purchase for the month of April, that it remains at Citizens at the 2.899%.
Very good request, but
Same, simple.
a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, with a question concerning the motion. All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. We put all that information here on line, it's always.
Matter of fact, that's what I was just going to say, we are up and running
Was it
for,
on the county website?
no, I have the website, it's downstairs, I've got it wrote down.
Just text it to, text it to all of us.
Or I'll email you all the websites, but we are up and running for all of our, land records and board minutes are online.
Good deal.
We're doing. Anything else to this?
That's all I have.
All right, moving to county business administration, Ms. Gary.
You got a list
Okay.
there.
First thing I need to mention is Mr. Bird is here operating this camera today, but Mr. Bird cannot come and operate this camera for every board meeting. So we need to decide who's gonna be responsible for operating the camera. And operating the little thing that he's got in his lap that says just when to record and not to record.
So you gotta train somebody.
That's correct. It won't take long though. It's
So
really easy.
executive session, you just turn it off? or you
Just press stop
just
recording.
stop?
I hope this is not like
I would
training my
just
mother
message
to
the
do a VCR or DVD. Or understand that Facebook is not email.
You think District 4 will operate?
As I told y'all, we probably gonna need an IT person.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so we need to begin.
I don't know what we need to do, but we somebody gotta,
I might temporarily, I might talk with Joe Clemens or somebody over in the city, and they can go in, especially when we meet during the daytime, they can do that temporarily.
okay.
And they can get somebody to come over there, they can do it for that, but now, after hours, it may require some additional conversation, I don't know. I can ask and see,
I know we're gonna have to compensate Skelly Farm for.
Oh, yeah, we want,
Him sitting
yeah,
there.
Tim ain't just sitting here just 'cause he love
No.
That's up to the boss.
Every time you open, peel one page,
He
So we
saw
need,
smiles over there.
what we need to do, we need to get that some thought and we'll make a determination. So,
Yes, so
we'll have
y'all
to
just
make
be
a
aware. Now, payroll changes.
You got your payroll changes in your packet?
Yeah, I've looked at
Any
it.
questions, comments, concerns about those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, are there any questions concerning the motion?
Is there a reason why two for, Michael Moorhead? Michael Moorhead has two in here.
I know one was probably one that may be pulled out again.
I think somebody messed up.
Two of the,
No,
One, the second page, and one next to the back.
next to right.
I thought it was a change of position, and then.
Is he doing two different things?
he's got the paperwork, it might have changed from a part-time to full-time.
Part-time and full-time on one?
Right, he went from part-time to full-time.
Right.
I think it's a double copy, I think.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
It may not be in this, it may not be in this case, why?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a double copy, yeah, it is.
Okay, we got a motion saying all those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote saying. Motion passed unanimously.
Got put in your packets and we just read on the minutes and knowledge that, constables file their annual reports as required.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote saying. Motion passed unanimously.
Third quarter budget allocations are in there for the sheriff, the jail, and the tax assessor. Did you approve that?
So
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, are there any questions on that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote saying. Motion passes unanimously.
We need to acknowledge, justice court judges continuing education.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote saying. Motion passes unanimously.
We got final pay requests for N.L. Carson for Mount Olive Road Bridge and Steph Creek Bridge. We need an order to pay them.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, are there any questions concerning that motion?
I know about Mount Olive, I really do.
I'll tell you what, great shape, smooth. Yours is and Self Creek is. I mean, couldn't ask for better.
All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Need, approval to pay Creek Engineering the final engineering fee on the Mount Olive and Steph Creek bridges.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard, are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote saying. Motion passes unanimously.
State aid has, wanting us to accept SAP 5319S is complete. And that is going to be your road, John's Road, and Mr. Trainer's Road, those three roads. There you go.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote saying. Motion passes unanimously.
We got a change order request from J.C. Chick for additional striping on top Blackjack, Rockville, and Old Highway 12. Need a board order to approve the change order.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, are there any questions concerning that motion?
Question.
Question.
Blackjack and on top, I thought it was already a part of,
It is.
a part of that all.
It is, this is one y'all have all agreed to, but I've got to get to the change order after.
Okay. Does that mean the total cost for Blackjack and on top together as District 5 is $7,471? That's just Blackjack. Is that just Blackjack? That's on top and Blackjack
As
together.
far as I know, it's both of them together.
Both of them together.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's total of District 5.
16,500.
Or is it 9,000? I have to go back and check.
I hope this is true.
I think so. Did you add it after that?
Well, the change order says on top and Blackjack.
What does, not, that thing, Octon blackjack is this, Octon is 2,400 and blackjack is 5,000, so it is seven.
That's good.
We did the telepack. We got a request in there on the election commissioners request approval. They are not supposed to work unless it's two of them there at one time, but they can work with only one being there, but the rest of the election commissioners has to approve for one election commissioner to work by themselves. And then after the election commissioners approve it, the board of supervisors have to approve it.
Yeah.
So I need an order allowing one election commissioner to work by themselves.
Motion made by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we got, budget amendments for volunteer fire department, the sheriff's department, and elections for, revenue received.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passes unanimously.
We did the transfer to the, date on that. In your, we got cancer warrants over 12 months old. Those are checks that have not cleared the bank that we need to void out. And if they do, somebody does appear wanting the money, that we will reissue the check.
Do you have a way of letting people know that these checks are?
They've been
I
notified.
know,
Yeah.
I know some of them, and I was thinking that some of these people will take care of this if they knew about it. But yeah, I
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next thing is interfund transfers. I need to transfer, the sheet in your box on your packet on that. To, E911 for cover wages, the safe room to cover construction costs pending reimbursement. It's taking quite a while to get reimbursed from MEMA. And then, lots of way blackjack project to cover costs into reimbursement.
Motion approved. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next thing is Mr. Rosenheim won a 2018 Polaris, and he is donating that to the volunteer fire department. We need to accept that donation.
We accept it.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery.
I wish I'd have known he won the thing.
All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. I'm sure you'll sell it for the cash.
He gave it to the town.
Well, we got it now, so
We do the cash.
can't get it back.
He won it. Credit card charges, and where to pay credit card charges, $166.39.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote. Well, my wife found out I won something, gave it to the can, I had to move in with y'all. He's not married.
He don't need to be out riding, it's fine, but he donated it to us.
He knows some folks.
We need an order to pay the bills, claim number 2707 through 3040, in the amount of $1,584,811.47.
So motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion?
I just had one question.
Go ahead.
I saw a section on here about, stamps and postage, and I'm just asking, postage, we using that much postage?
Oh, yes.
It's gone up to 50 cents.
We use a lot, especially, it depends on what the furniture is. Yeah.
I just wanted to
We
know.
share a postage meter with Circuit, and, you know, they just have forks from and everything, and they have to send out all the jury duty things.
Thank you.
And the last thing I have is a request to hire an assistant building and grounds. We have, normally had one or two inmates at all, trustees at all times to help, but we don't now. We haven't had in a couple of weeks, and I think we're not gonna have them available to us regularly, so I would like to hire a full-time assistant.
What's pleasure doing with that?
I move we allow her to hire one.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions on the motion? All questions?
Would you mind if I walked around with them and showed them some stuff?
Sure, and you know, and Darryl needs to see it too.
I mean, I just, like certain things out, when we
Yeah.
have that program last year, like a Memorial Day and things like that.
Yeah, they need to see it, and Darryl needs to see it too, if you ever want to.
Yeah, or just, and how to maintain it, just an idea.
Most definitely, I appreciate you doing that.
All those in favor, let me know by the vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and I also sent out to y'all the list of who's fixing to retire, so y'all all aware of it. That's all I got.
I know there was a letter in our packet, one dealing with the vacancy on the Heritage Museum. Is that a vacancy that's pending, or that's the one that's coming up?
That's
Dealing with,
one that we need to fill.
Okay. We got a request from Ms. Claire Greer that would like to serve on the museum board. Claire Greer.
3-year term. Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. She's serving an unexpired term. All those in favor, let it be known by the public vote sign. Motion passes unanimously. And I think she also put the information in our packet concerning the massive trustee election that's coming up. And it would be my suggestion that we go ahead and send this official ballot in beforehand, just in case. I'll be there, but I may be late or something like that. We already have the ballot submitted. And what happens is you have the candidates that are on the sheet. Each one of us will have to sign one official sheet, and we'll have to indicate our preference. And then Ms. Emily can mail that, and then we can vote by proxy. That way our vote will already be in the hopper, so to speak. That would be my suggestion for you. If you'll have something. Good. Okay. I'm gonna sign here, and what you all can do is look through that list. Each one can pick one, and then we can pick somebody else.
We have to do 6 at least.
However you wanna do it, I think
6.
I see two
Up
on
to
it.
6.
Up to 6, yeah. Up to 6.
Up to 6. So you got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 8 people, 9 people on the list. So, you all familiar with, I will admit I'm familiar with all you guys, so I don't know if you need any additional information, but, how you all want to handle that?
You wanna do it next board meeting, you wanna do it now?
It's up, Ms. Miller's gonna have to sign anyway, so.
Next board
we
meeting.
can do it. But I just went ahead and signed, this will be the official one.
I'll sign it.
That we can do that. We just need to make it, she'll have to sign it, and, Ms. Emily will just bring it back and then it'll already be signed. Once she signs it, we just make our designation, and between now and then, you can do your due diligence on all those guys, see what you think is worthy. We can, each one can pick one, and then we can agree on another one, or how y'all wanna do it. All of us have to sign these.
All of them.
Yes, sir. We're doing it on the 13th and the 8th, one on 13th, one on 8th.
Here's a declaration that we have to sign in relation to meeting information.
There's 2 copies, both copies.
You gotta figure out what that big board is.
Okay, do we have anything, Mr. Williams, anything come from District 5 we need to take into consideration? Gary, you can,
Yes, sir.
do we have anything coming from District 5 that we need to consider before we be ready to go?
Let me pass. I'm still.
No problem. Supervisor, how you?
I'm good.
Supervisor, Montgomery?
Well, yeah, and this is just, I don't know, a suggestion. I'm open for suggestions. And Miss Emily knows, we had a culvert issue, in my district. In other words, somebody builds a house or moves a trailer in and they need a culvert. As long as they would provide me an address, you know, that Toby at the PDD assigned it to, you know, legit, and of course the water, you know, and the sewage and all that, through the health department, I thought would work itself out. But as it is now, I think we've gotta get, I mean, are y'all dealing with this, like the health department's gotta get involved? So many things involved, and then you get the people wondering why the culvert's not there. Even if they do or don't do the right thing in the health department side of things, I thought that the water association and the health department would take care of that. Is there a way we could make it just a little simpler as far as the way culverts are put in other words, on a new house? Like right now, Miss Emily, what do we have to get the health department involved?
For the site development process, you have to have a 911 address, proof of water availability, and proof of, the Department of Health's recommendation for a septic system, what type to put in, before the site development permit is issued. And I cannot issue it without it. What you're running into is where the person did not want to give the health department recommendation for the septic system, and without that, I'm not gonna request a culvert be put in. Now, you can request a culvert be put in, but I cannot request a culvert be put in without the recommendation. The water association is not supposed to hook water up without that.
But his water's on.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Water association is not supposed to hook the water up without the approved septic system being put in.
I guess my question is this, or what we're getting involved in is, when you wanna put a culvert in, I didn't feel like that should involve your health department, water. In other words, the state fire marshal's gotta put that stamp. What he's dealing with is a trailer. For anybody to be in there, the state fire marshal's gotta put a stamp on the side of that trailer. Like you say, the water association has got to cut the water on, and then also, you know, your sewer, your septic system. Even if they don't do right, what I'm saying, in the sewer and the water, I thought the health department could catch all that. Because if you're on,
Won't catch it if they're not contacting them.
the way I've always, and the way I read it, is 1 acre or less, the health department's gotta make an on-site, they gotta literally see. Now, an acre or more, and hey, I don't want the health department or them to do the wrong thing, but I'm saying an acre or more, the health department can come look at it, but they don't usually. I guess what I'm getting into is, and what we're all getting into is, you start telling anybody, but especially 60, 70-year-old men and women, they gotta get online, they gotta fill this out, they gotta take this there, then they start thinking that we're not wanting to bring them a culvert. Now, I mean, I wanna bring them a culvert. I want them to do the right thing with the water department and the septic system. That's where I thought the water department was kind of the firewall in essence, beyond our culvert and all that would catch it. Now, they may or may not, but I mean, are we, in other districts, are we dealing with the same thing? I'm asking.
Well, I guess what, first of all, we developed this site permit. This sort of came about because of apartment complexes. So we wanted to put some in place so we would know what type of development was coming in, and we kinda put something in there as far as, a dwelling, a residential dwelling. But I guess what John is asking, should we withhold a cover? Because I guess I can see what he's saying. If a person goes and buys a mobile home and they need to get it moved, they're gonna need a cover to get it set up on the spot. See, now I thought the teeth was supposed to be with the electric department or Fort County. They wasn't supposed to hook up electricity to a dwelling, especially a mobile home, until that was supposed to be a sticker right at the front door.
Just for taxes, the rest of the other.
Right, okay, but they were supposed to see the sticker from, that was supposed to be something from the health department saying that they have, yeah, because now when you get, this is the way it works, when you request you're supposed to go to the health department, and regardless to whether it's acre or not, they supposed to suggest to you what type of septic system to install. Well, whether it's a certain amount of feet of field line, or if you don't have that much property, then they got systems that's called garden with rock and greenery and stuff.
Advanced treatment system.
Advanced treatment system, and depending on how well your ground perks and how, it's just a bunch of things, but I guess John is saying to withhold a cover, that should be a whole lot of other things that should catch.
I just didn't envision us getting roped into the water, sewage, and, you know what I'm saying, how the ground perks.
Yeah.
To get them a culvert.
But we can go away with the site development process, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, it's kind of the reason,
Well, it was there for
it's the same reason I'll never vote for well, hold up, the reason I won't vote for a, comprehensive plan, because you intend for it to do this, but it's like buying a pit bull. I want him to sit and stay, but he's over here gnawing on my leg. And in my opinion, this is going beyond what it's intended for. What I intended it for was like the 911 system, fire coverage, things like that. And like Supervisor Howard was saying, what really brought it on was these larger developments, neighborhoods that had 15 or 20 houses, and they try to get around the health department and the state health department. I'm just trying to get a culvert put in. I didn't think that we would be, like I said, back to the point, we'd be involved in water, sewage, treatment plants, how well the ground perked. That's a health department issue. I mean, is this state law that we have to do this? I didn't know we would. And you can possibly look at revising it, because if this is what we gotta do on every single culvert, I might go to Tupelo and buy a mass of them and just say, hey, come to my house and get one. Cause this is, I mean, it's just terrible that we're having, I've probably made 3 dozen phone calls on one culvert.
So
really, the only thing that's delaying the site development plan is the contact with the health department. Now, we should be able to get them quickly in communication with the health department. Now, I know Ms. Emily, you have the number to give them.
I have the number, they get that with their application, who to contact, how to contact, and the email address and everything. What we run into is sometimes where people don't want to do that. And this instance, this gentleman thinks that he has, with the amount of property he has, he shouldn't need to buy to get the septic system approved by the state, because it is a fee.
Well, that's state law.
And I told him that's fine, and he said he should be exempt. I said that's fine, and if you provide me something from them that says that you're exempt, I'm good with that.
Right.
But
I do want you to remind you that they will exempt him if he has a large amount of property. but he still has to get that
You have to get the
in writing.
exemption from them.
He has to get it in writing, and he's exempt, and that's not
Yeah.
a hard thing to do.
Well, like she's saying, this individual, I'm not saying they wanna do everything by the book, but to Supervisor Howard's point, in other words, we're the county, and we provide culverts and keep roads and bridges open. Hey, if he gets a culvert, that's fine. What would hold him back would be that sticker from the state fire marshal and the health department. In other words, we wouldn't be involved in that, because if we get involved in that, and I don't mind doing it, because, I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it. But I'm telling you, the health department needs to be the people that say, this is what you gotta have. You know, and we're done. You know, you can't get your water cut on, you can't get your electricity or your septic, you know, put in until you get this health department. I just.
They won't know if you don't, nobody's gonna something.
But,
Well,
I think
they
we-
supposed to, the water department is not, the water districts are not supposed to hook up water until the health department has approved,
That is correct.
the installed septic system. Then then that's when a water association is supposed to hook up. So,
That we still got some water associations that's
yeah,
violating
but you know, that site permit, one of the key components of it was Clyde was supposed to go out and look at every site. That was the main driving force behind that, so we wouldn't pop up with a trailer park or pop up with a big development that we didn't know anything about. That's how that thing was, that's why it was set up. For Clyde to, when somebody come in and fill out for a permit, Clyde was supposed to go and look at the site and tell them, well, you building in a floodplain, or if you got, that's why we're dealing with this Blackjack Road issue now. If we had known beforehand, we would've told them, listen, you gotta put in slip lanes, or you gotta do something, and not just stick this development right there, and now it's on the county. That's why that thing developed, so in the back part of it, everything wouldn't get thrown on the county like out at Blackjack Road now. But I'm kinda like John, it may be to the point to where we need to do like the vicious dog, revisit this thing, because I don't think we should withhold a culvert when there's so many other things that should determine whether a person get their water hooked up, get electricity. We just putting a cover for you to get in there, we either move your motor, or get in there and build your
What
house.
they're gonna do, actually put on something on site if we don't have that documentation.
Once they get the cover.
Well, that's true.
That's
Once
the
they
health
get a
department's
cover,
stuff.
they can do pretty much a
Yeah,
whole
we don't
lot of
have-
illegal stuff once that cover is installed.
Yeah.
They can move back and forward, they can do a whole lot of things.
But like a house trailer, the state, the fire marshal and the health department have to check it off. And what I'm asking is, and I don't want them doing wrong either, okay? But there needs to be a checkpoint beyond the culvert.
Someone gonna have to satisfy the requirements of the health department. And really, if we don't, it's gonna be a situation where we're gonna have unpleasant wastewater running everywhere.
I get that, I don't want that, but I thought the health
Eventually.
department would be that stop check, and the water association.
The health department is, but the health department had to be notified. And many times they would not notify the health department. If they get a cover, they feel they got everything taken care of now.
Yeah.
So once they
See,
cover is installed.
where does the health department, did they not get in, and you know, as water association, did the health department not, in other words, hey, or Mr. Williams, I need you to hook service up to 101 Williams Road. We're gonna got a trailer going in Tuesday, and it goes in tomorrow.
they gonna
Does
have
the
to.
health department not get notified that
They have
from
to.
you, the water
No,
association?
the person has to notify the health department. They have to notify them.
So nobody
And get their
in-
notice of intent, from the health department. But now, what's gonna happen, we're gonna end up passing the buck, because if we don't do it, someone gonna have to do it. If the county doesn't do it, somewhere down the line, as the person progress, they still gonna have to contact the health department. So they might as well start up front with Ms. Emily, making the contact. So everything else, once that's done, everything else is kinda simple.
Alright, question, and I get what you're saying. I'm a plumber, you're the water association, okay, you hooked up 101 Williams Road, and I'm the plumber, I come in, like Mr. Cherry, I thought a plumber, the way I did it now on my house, he had to sign off something on the health department before Bluefield Water Association then would even cut my water on. So I
Water
had,
association, you're talking about cut water on without the septic system.
Let me add something to this. You gotta keep in mind what you're being put in a situation with. No one's told him he can't put a culvert down.
he's just glad to get his own.
Correct. And the way you did it was the correct way. You went and got the health department to check off on all of the lists. But the problem I'm having with the particular person that we're dealing with this is, I wanna do things my way, I wanna do things the wrong way, and not only do I wanna do things the wrong way, I want you to pay for it.
Yeah.
And a way to kinda think of this is, and I don't disagree with you, I don't know that we necessarily need to get into who is checking off the check marks with the health department. However, the part of the hiccup here is if the water association doesn't do what they're supposed to do, the county doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and the health department doesn't do what they're supposed to do, why do we have any of these rules to start with? I mean, it's
I get that, but I thought that the main roadblock would be 100% the health department. If they're not gonna allow water, sewage, etc.
I don't disagree with you, but what roadblock is it if he jumps around that and finds somebody that's willing, keep in mind,
But
he
he had a
found.
buddy out there.
Correct,
Yeah.
keep in mind, he went and paid someone else to come out there to slip around this to hook up to the water. He went around and got someone else to hook up his sewer, and on top of it all, he wants to come out there and say, now I want the county to drop a culvert down, because I got everybody else to slip around and do this, but I want some of those taxpayers to pay for this culvert, which is a couple $100, which is the funny thing to me is if he's that concerned about.
I get it, and I know where you're at, I'm just saying.
You're talking about generically,
I'm
know
talking
what you're-
generically,
I know
I
what
just
you're
thought
at.
that this wouldn't be,
Who's supposed to be the check mark to stop
I've
this?
always thought that was the health department, and especially on mobile homes, because they come and, like
Yeah.
Supervisor Howard says, they have to approve it before anything gets cut on.
Let me tell you what I've done in the past. Let me tell you what I've done in the past. Well, just cause we really branching over into who's, John is talking about a couple. John is talking, this, let me tell you what I've done in the past. Because if you take this scenario right here, person says, I'm fixing to build a house. Well, they can't get any approval of anything until the house is built. Well, I have done this before, I said, well, what we'll do, we'll bring you some red dirt, fill up the ditch. Now, that don't work well when it's raining a lot, but we'll give you access in and out, cause you gotta get lumber trucks and all of that in. And once you got the house built, we'll come back and set you a cover, because we don't want you tearing up that cover. Same thing, I guess, you can say, well, we'll get your ditch filled in to get your mobile home in, but we'll bring you a cover once everything is hooked up, if you wanna do it that way. But then you think back, people can come up and say, well, I just need access to my property, and we'll go set them a cover.
Right.
Without any hoopla. Well, we don't know what they're gonna do. So what John is saying, we just need a way we don't need to be the police. If a person needs a cover to their property, you know, again, that site permit was kinda put in, I don't know. we need to-
You gotta remember the point of us putting a culvert in is not for the citizen to have access to their property. It is for the county drainage.
Drainage, yeah, yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
we're not putting it there, it's supposed to be putting it there for the convenience of the citizen. It has to be for the convenience of the county.
I understand.
Now, the health department is in Jackson, it's not locally.
There's a local office.
No,
Now, they're fine in Jackson.
they in Jackson, so Jackson has no way of knowing unless someone monitor and control that situation.
I met the health department guy I just happened to meet him, not there, I'm just saying, about 3 or 4 years ago on New Light Road. But neither here nor there.
Why don't you and I discuss it, and see if we can come up with a solution and then we'll get with Ms. Emily and make
I
sure
don't
that.
have a problem with anything. I don't mind taking the culvert out of the site development process. I don't mind cutting out the site development process. But I can't do one without the other.
Well, it ain't working like it's supposed to, because it's Clyde going out and visiting
Well,
his son.
Clyde gets it if it's over 10
Houses.
houses. Any other
Over
way,
9.
yeah. Any other way, it don't go to Clyde.
I just thought that, yeah, we were gonna send somebody out there to make sure an ambulance could get in and a fire truck could turn around.
Right.
No, for individual, they have to have proof of a 911 address, proof of water availability, and proof of an approved septic system recommendation. Too often, we have mobile homes being put on property where a water association cannot provide water to them, and they do not put in the septic system.
Okay.
It will be running on the drain.
Let me ask you this, how do you get proof of all these things until the mobile home has been set there?
They have, what,
You gotta get the mobile home in.
No, we're talking about the site. We're not talking about the home itself, we're talking about whether it's available on the site.
They're supposed to come look, make sure they've got the red dirt pad in, it's up high
That
enough.
has nothing, we're not doing that, we're looking for if it's available at the site.
Some of these sites, they have not water being provided.
There's no water
There's no
association.
water. So that's why, that's a check off too, that she has to check and see whether or not there
Water
is
can be
water at the
available.
site.
So if there's no water, I'm
I think so,
asking, do you
because-
have to, you can charge them for the tap and to bring it to the place.
There's
That has
some
all
water
been worked out.
associations that can't afford it.
There's a lot of checklists, in other words, there are many checklists that have to be checked off.
But I guess it needs to be revisited, because you were saying that we gotta know there's availability of water, we've gotta know there's a sewage on the site, so in other words, they've gotta go and have a septic tank installed
No,
on,
recommendation.
just a
From the health
recommendation
department.
Just
from
a
the health department.
recommendation that they have went and had, went through the permit process, and health department's made a recommendation. Is all I'm asking for.
Can you put in our boxes all the information we'll need to give these people, because numbers and 1-800 numbers and things like that, even maybe contacts, cause that needs to be on the quick list.
I'll give a site development permit in your box.
I will say something in closing. Someone has to monitor that wastewater situation. And there are individuals who, like myself, is a board member, and we're non-paying people. We don't get paid to do the work. That's volunteer, that's service to the community. I want you all to know that. I'm a non-paid person. I don't get paid. So, individuals are gonna jump all over you, and the only thing you're trying to do is make sure that you got safe water, and then their sewage is being ran the right way. So, yes, someone has to do that.
If you
And
discover,
they
if I discover or somebody else discovers where there is wastewater going into a ditch or a road, and I've made some calls to DEQ and this and that, is there anybody that can honestly come and take a look at it? Because
It's hard to get it taken
they
care
will
of
not,
after the fact.
you know, I will say that.
Now, if it's running across somebody's yard, down into somebody's yard, they'll show up and do something, but.
It's coming out onto a road right now.
But I mean, yeah,
They
that's
visit.
not good enough. But anyway,
Let's just
maybe we
revisit.
need to revisit it, maybe we need to look at it again, and just kinda see if we need to tweak it some.
Another problem we've had one or two times is that we go through the site development permit process, have a cover put down, and the people that did the site development permit had no right to have a cover put down there.
Oh, because it wasn't their property?
Because
wasn't their property.
was their
I've
property.
actually heard of that.
That's right.
Well, I guess as long as it's the county.
Sure did, that happened too.
But listen, I'm gonna tell you,
They'll pick it up.
when it get dry in the summer, a good trailer mover, they'll get a trailer in.
Oh, it's already in.
They'll
in
get
now.
across the ditch, I mean.
We just need to authorize that special code.
Well,
We need to authorize
I was
it.
wanting this one to do the right thing, but let me talk to him again.
Aren't they been the road?
I'll talk to him again.
Anything else?
That's good.
Attorney Robert, you got anything, friend?
I think we've been here long enough today. I will say that, that Blackjack Road, next board meeting, I've asked our, attorney that we've hired to help me with this to come and give us an update, on some of that, so we'll give you a heads up on that. Something else that we covered. I can't remember what the other thing was, so it's not been that important, but, if y'all have any questions on anything you want me to be checking into, between now and then, just holler at me. If something pops up, I'll let you know. We do have, a couple of contract issues that I'm dealing with, that I'll kind of give you an update on in the next board meeting, but other than that, we should be good.
Oh, yeah, I guess, we did say we were gonna revisit the vicious dog ordinance, have we?
I've looked into it,
Looked
and
in.
I'm afraid, let's handle that next
Okay.
board meeting, and we might need to discuss. There's an awful lot of people with dogs,
Mhm.
and the question is whether or not we're gonna require, who's gonna cover this stuff, and I understand why we're looking at this, but we may be opening up some issues for the sheriff's department or somebody else. Somebody's gonna have to be the monitoring of this, and that's the question I have, is who's going to be the monitor? Cause if we put together something, it's not gonna do this right, right.
And we did, the last time we got off into, we'd have to have animal control.
That's kinda what we're
person
looking at.
With a truck and then a place to house the animals.
It really kinda comes down to how much do we wanna spend on this issue? And that's gonna be where it comes down to. Now, that being said, I'm on board with whatever y'all wanna do, we'll do it. But I don't want y'all to be in a situation where you were unaware of
What it was gonna take.
what it's gonna take and what the cost is gonna be associated with it.
We need to extend that emergency declaration too, don't we? Have we done that?
That's what we did after now,
Okay.
I get both of them back.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you have anything? Good. Okay. Ms. Emma informed us that we need to schedule a meeting on the 20th, it needs to be in the evening time. And of course, I would rather for it to be early, but we need to do it at time for 6 reasons. So, if y'all don't mind, let's get a motion. Do we have anybody have anything else? Let's get a motion, a second, stand recess to the 20th, at 5:30. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let me know how to vote. All right, you all have a great day.
All right.